What's going on, everybody? What's going on? It's your boy Doc Holliday, and my co-host should be here in a few. But this is another Saturday Night Live with Doc and SheLovesThee, and exclusive to HBCU Overdrive live stream. If you haven't done it by now, make sure that you hit that subscribe button. Make sure that you share this content. Make sure that you like the stream and comment on it though. But look, I just got back in. Um, baby girl's birthday party was today. Uh, oh Lord. So I trying to get everything going on, trying to get everything set up. Um, so but I did say I had a special guest coming in. I had a special guest coming on to the show today. Um, you know him. I know him. I'm about to know him now. But if you was on the show on Thursday afternoon, you heard his father bringing the smoke, to all the Southern fans. Let me introduce everybody to the next quarterback for Jackson State University, Jason Brown. What's going on, man?
How you doing?
I'm good. I'm bringing my co-host is about to come in. Tamona. Is she? But yeah, we can mixed up. So, but man, how you doing, man?
I'm good. How you doing?
Doing good. I like I said, Dad was listening to the show. Um, he was listening to it on Thursday. I was doing Southern's schedule breakdown, and he came in shooting ducats at everybody, shooting bullets at the folks over here from Southern University. All right,
It's kind of hard to hear you. I can't really hear you.
okay. She says echo. Can you hear me now?
Sounds like you got quieter.
Uh-oh. Can you hear me now?
A little bit.
All right.
It's about the same as the first time.
Okay.
Welcome to the show, Jason. Thank you for coming on. It sounds like somebody has an echo. I think that's the issue.
Yeah, I kind of hear it, or it just sounds a little low on my end.
Hello. Can you hear me?
A little bit.
You're still echoing.
It might be my living room, maybe. Let me try. Let me try over here.
Is it a big echo? Mona?
Yeah, you're
Yeah,
still echoing.
it's still quiet.
All right.
I don't know if you have on the YouTube and the StreamYard on at the same time.
I got
You're
that.
echoing.
I don't have it open on the YouTube. I just have it on the
It's probably,
StreamYard app through the Facebook.
was it me?
It's definitely you. But
Most likely.
how you doing, Jason Brown? While he fixed that, just mute your phone, mute your mic for a second.
Yeah, you go ahead. Since I was late, you got it.
Yeah, this whole thing's just a little quiet. I can't really hear y'all.
Can you not hear me?
Barely. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I can barely hear both of you.
Can you hear me now?
A little bit.
That's the echo.
Jason, do you want to try to go out of the Facebook Messenger? Like,
Yeah, I can try that.
try doing it in the Safari, or if you're on your
Yeah,
phone.
just send me over it again and I'll
All
try
right.
it again.
I see you, Lick.
All right.
We getting it. We gonna get this right. We gonna get this right.
Well, I don't hear the echo anymore, so I do think
I
that
think
it
it was
was
his.
possibly his phone. So maybe if he can try to copy and paste it directly into.
In the chat.
No, like he said that he opened it through Facebook. Like if you're sending it to him, he needs to copy and paste it if he's on his phone directly into Safari.
Oh, Pop said it was him.
Yeah, because I don't hear the echo any longer.
Okay, it was him. So I just sent it to him. I just sent it to him. I told you, Pop came in with the, Mr. Brown came in with that smoke on Thursday. I'm talking about he was shooting. He he was giving them straight bullets. All right, let's start this over again. Is that better now? Uh-oh. Turn your volume up.
I mean, I can hear fine. There's no longer an echo, so I think it was just possibly because oh now I can't hear him at all. We can't hear you at all now. Do you have it on mute?
I turned it off.
No, I'm talking about him on his phone.
Turn your mute. Turn off your mute off your phone. All right.
Well,
As we get to,
anyway, while he is waiting or while he's trying to get those technical difficulties under control, man, we got a lot to talk about today. A lot to talk about.
all right, all right. How was it today? How was your weekend? Because
Uh,
did you watch a lot of basketball? Is all again?
I stopped watching the men's basketball game. I couldn't take it, I
Did,
definitely
did,
watched the women's basketball game though, and I've been
did,
keeping in tabs with the SWAC championships for the track and field. We
oh
got
yeah.
baseball.
What's going on, family? What rank one? Israel. Uh, Southbound. I don't think I'm low. Can I hear you now? Can you hear me? I think it's still here. I can't hear him. Yeah. Try it one more time. Oh, hold on.
Now talk. We should be able to hear you now. You're off mute.
Uh, Okay.
I still can't hear you.
Let me see.
Oh man.
Uh-oh. Okay, so I'm about to send it in the I'm about to send the link in the chat. That way you could just go in from the chat and just click on it. But use the Safari on your phone if you got an iPhone. All right.
Um, yeah, because I want to talk about the community drive that Jason Brown has going on. We need to be promoting that for the city of Jackson.
All right. So I'm gonna let you out and then you'll come back in. But yeah, I so did the men give you a hard time? Did they give you a headache? Did they raise your blood pressure up tonight? But uh, look, we trying to get everything settled up, y'all. I've been on the road. I just got back in from Corsicana. That's where my youngest daughter stays. We had a birthday party for her today, so she is the great eight. And I wouldn't change anything in the world for that. But it was a swim party, so we weren't outside. We was inside. We was at the local YMCA. That's where they had the party at, and it was great. All right, let me see. Can you hear now? All right,
Just turn it off mute.
I'll mute your mic.
There you go. Can you hear us? Can you hear me now?
Still can't hear you.
Oh man.
Oh man. So, man, I'm trying to get this done. Trying to get this going.
Maybe just I don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the quarterback Jason Brown in the building. We're just having a little bit of technical difficulty, so be patient with us.
Yeah, be patient.
But while we're waiting on that, let's talk about our men's basketball team.
Okay, so you already know what it is. Around the SWAC and MEAC we go. Oh Lord, around we. So first of all, before you get on the men's team, we gonna get on the women's. I know the women's probably dog walk Alcorn tonight. Um, had to. Oh yeah, ooh, that's a straight dog walk. 32-point win, 81-49. How many games that goes? That's what
That's
10-game win.
right. They're undefeated at home, of course.
Of course, they are undefeated at home. Let's see, women's basketball. But yeah, that's it. Don't get no better than that though. 13-1 in the conference, 16-8 overall, 10-game winning streak right now. 10-game winning streak. What's going on, Russell? Leonard Chad, what's happening? Um, but who can stop Coach Reed and the Lady Tigers from Jackson State? Tell me who can stop them. Tell y'all get comment in the chat. Tell me who can stop Jackson State women's basketball right now. And don't say Prairie View because they play Prairie View again. They're going to dog walk them. They're going to dog walk them. What's going on, Franklin? But tied at 2 in second place is Alabama State and Alabama A&M. The Alabama schools at 10-4 in the conference.
Is that on the men's side?
That's on the women's side.
Oh, well, we're not really worried about the women's side. We're just worried about the only thing that we're focused on right now is dominating and continuing to utilize our big bodies. I know they said that Angel Jackson's not 100% at this point in time, so we want her to get better, of course, and
Okay.
um, something dealing with her hamstring. She's not at 100%. Oh,
All right. Can you hear?
we can hear you.
Perfect.
Yay!
Hey,
We're good.
look, we about to switch it up. Before we get to that, man, thank you for coming on to the show. Thank you
Yeah,
for
no
coming on.
problem.
Thank you. So yeah, like I said, your dad came in on Thursday bringing straight heaters to the Southern fans. Told one person, "Hey, you gonna be sitting at home at the SWAC championship game, and you can sit. In fact, you don't have to sit at home. You can sit right next to me at the game, at both the SWAC championship game and the Celebration Bowl." I was like, "Ooh, your daddy
Yeah,
came in straight smoke."
he's a crazy dude, man.
I was like, oh my God. Oh my God. So man, how's it going? How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling good. Everything's been good so far. I'm
All right.
loving it here. So it was a good decision to end my career on. That's for sure.
That's
And we're
good.
so
That's good.
grateful to have you. Um, you are actually doing a community drive, isn't that correct, with the local church?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit? And then I'll pull up the link so that if somebody wants to make a donation to the church, they can do that. And when
Yeah,
you,
so I partnered with the Word of Life in their church, and they were having a. So I wanted to do a food drive, for the city of Jackson, and then I got to talking to one of my coaches, and he was like, that could be something that you do with my church. Uh, he was like, they're having a community day March 4th, and it
Mm-hmm.
was a way that we could combine the both of them. And, so you can take canned goods, waters to all of the locations now. And then March 4th, me and some of the other players are actually going to be out there at the community day, meeting fans. They can still bring stuff then as well. So it was just a way for us to combine both of the things for a good cause. And then there's a website and there's a donation link, and all the money that's donated through that will be donated as well to a food bank.
Okay. I like that. I like that.
okay, and I'm
That-
getting
that-
ready to pull that up so that people in the chat can see. And you said that's March 4th that you guys have the community drive?
Yes, from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
okay. Let them know. And man, I love community service. That's one thing I did when I was at school, as far as, just being a regular student, just being, around the community and helping out the community. Most people need to do that, especially our student athletes, to
Yeah,
be out there around the town and just show that show in good faith that you actually care about the people around the community, especially around the school.
yeah.
So, um,
I posted the link, well, I
all
posted the
right,
flyer. Can you
let
pull
me
that?
let me take the banner off.
Yeah.
Bam. So
It
yeah,
is.
full screen layout. Everybody understand. Everybody know. Going to be at Word of Life now through March 4th, y'all.
And if
It's
you want to
the
make a
community food.
donation, it's thelife.cc/community day. Or if you're local to the Jackson area, you can drop off at Word of Life, any Word of Life campus Sunday through Thursday.
All right. So man, first of all, some people don't know your. I think some people around town don't know your actual story about how you ended up at Jackson State. But let our viewers and our listeners know, like, um, your previous stops and what made you decide to come to Jackson.
That's gonna be a long one. I've been a couple places.
Boy, we
Uh,
got good time, bro.
yeah, I guess, huh? So I started out coming out of high school. Wasn't really highly recruited. Went to St. Francis up in Pennsylvania. Uh, Tore my ACL going into it.
Ooh,
Got there. Obviously, I missed the first year because of my knee. The next year, I was a backup, and then the following year, 2019, I played. Had a really good year. Was All American there. Broke a couple school conference records. Uh, then COVID hit. They actually canceled the season, both fall and the spring.
wow.
So while everybody else played in the spring, my school didn't. So then I left, entered the portal. South Carolina ended up being the only school to offer me out of the portal. So I went there. Uh, didn't play as much as I thought I would there. Ended up starting the last 4 games, had some success there. And
Hmm.
around that time, that December, that's when Spencer Rattler was in the portal. And
Right.
at the time, I thought I only had 1 year left to play because, you get 5 years and then you had the extra year because of COVID. And I'm not an idiot. I knew he was going to play. So
Right.
I wanted to play in my final season. And, so I left, went to Virginia Tech, didn't get the opportunity there at all. It was weird to me. We were struggling. I thought that I was going to get a chance to. And then, I didn't. They said that they were going to move on with somebody else once I found out I had another year. So I ended up getting another year because of my knee. I tore that. So I ended up getting my medical redshirt year back, which is how I ended up getting my 7th year. So then I entered the portal again. Was almost going to Southern.
Right.
And then I got I was almost going to Southern. And then I got a call from Coach Billerman, and he was like, "Hey man, we need a quarterback here that can come in and win the job and compete day one and take us to a national championship and win it." And I came and visited. I was actually supposed to go to Southern the 6th of January.
Mm-hmm.
And Jackson State got me here the 4th. And then I ended up coming in here after that. So during the visit, that's how I ended up here. So this is my 7th year because of my knee and then the COVID. So
welcome to thee. We're glad to have you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Man, that who that reminds me of? That reminds me. Well, I want to say the movie of the Minutes Blues, but that kind of reminds me of Lindsey Scott from UIW. Ended up with that LSU. Ended up transferred to UIW. Had some knee issues and stuff like that. But man, that's a hell of a story to get to Jackson, man.
Yeah, it's been a long one,
man. So, go ahead, Mona. You want to ask?
I was getting ready to say that that's a Cinderella story with the happy ending at the end of it, which is taking us to the SWAC championship, taking us to the Celebration Bowl, and winning it.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh Lord, see my people on the show. He said that's why Adrian Cook's so salty. Hey, he got to be salty about it.
Yeah, I've gotten a couple messages from some Southern people.
Oh man, so once you made your decision to come to Jackson, what was your mindset about bringing like-minded people to come to the school to help us win a championship, but also represent Jackson State on a more national level?
I wanted to come here just because I knew, Jackson State wins football games. I want to win. I've never won a championship before, so that was something that I wanted to do, which was a big reason why I came here. And then, just having people come along that have that same goal and mindset. We got a great recruiting class this year for the 23 with the transfers, and then the younger guys that are coming in. And, Coach Taylor and all them, they recruited them for a reason. It's to come here and play, come here and win. So everybody has the same goal in mind, and I see that every day in practice from all of them.
Okay.
We see you a lot of times that you and the wide receivers, that you guys actually have self-mandated practices. Can you speak a little bit about that culture and the bonding that's going on between you and the wide receivers and the other QBs in the room, and how that just helps further the culture for winning?
It helps a lot because you get to bond with each other. We do that for timing purposes of routes. When is this person going to break in and out of this route? What's my footwork? How can I be on time with it? So a big part of the reason that we do it is just to set up the timing for it. That way, when we get into a game and there's a defense out there, it's not a surprise to us of what's happening and where people are going to end up on the field. So that's a big reason why we do it. And, while doing that, it helps us bond together, gets us closer and tighter as a team. So.
See, now I'm gonna tell you this. I happen to be out of me and Timona, I was the only one that actually seen Coach Taylor play. He was my freshman classmate back in '97, and I seen him play. Tell me how being coached by him, by Coach Taylor, by TC. Tell me how does that feel? Like, what are you getting out of being coached and trained by such a phenomenal former athlete and Coach Taylor?
It's good. He pushes us a lot. He watches. He comes to every lift for the bigs, skills, mids. He's in there watching and he's in there evaluating, and he pushes us hard every day. We started our early morning workouts today or this week, the mat drills, That's been good. And he's watching every rep from every station that he can. So it's fun playing for him because he's so passionate about it, and that just makes us want it even more.
Okay. You got a question, Simona?
Yes. So one of our people in the chat, Mario, he asked, how is he going to keep the team humble and hungry? The team is super talented. How are you going to keep the team humble and hungry?
He tells us every day that it's just about us. Can't let the outside world influence us. Obviously they won the past 2 years, but he said that means nothing because they haven't won it all yet. So that's what he preaches to us. He wants to start in Atlanta and finish in Atlanta. And this time he wants to finish. He doesn't just want to go there. He makes sure every meeting that he has, every time he sees us, he wants to finish in Atlanta this year. So,
Oh, we got a question from my Uncle Said. Uncle Said Walker. He asked you how you feel about our remaining wide receiver core.
oh, they're good. They're good. I like those guys. I can say this is the first place that I've been where players aren't afraid to hold each other accountable in the receiver room and in the running back room. And, that's big. That's big to be able to, our coach says, care enough to confront and care enough to comfort. So, you got to be able to confront people in this game, or else you're not going to be as good as you can be. And, I like them from Ruck to Rico. I played with Rico in South Carolina, actually. So
Okay.
from Ruck, Rico, Sevens, phenomenal athlete, Jonas, big guy, Brandon, the guy we got, they're all really good, really talented.
Man.
What number are you going to wear?
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go 0. I ain't seen too many quarterbacks in 0, so I want to switch it up and be different. I think I'm going 0.
Man. Oh yeah, Jacinto said KC got Mahomes, JSU got Jason Brown.
I always get that I look like him a little bit.
Oh man.
What are your personal goals for this season? Like, what is it that you like? How many yards? How many touchdowns? Not putting any pressure on you, but have you thought about what type of goals you have?
If you talk to my dad, he'll probably say he want me to throw for 10,000 and 3,500 touchdowns, but it's not realistic. But the only thing that I want is just to be able to prove people wrong, that because I've been overlooked, I believe. And then, just go out there and win a championship. I've never won a championship. What came down to making the decision was, I want to come here and win. That's really what it was. I'm not into all the personal stats and all that stuff, but
your dad said 50 touchdowns and 4,000 passing.
Yeah, I know.
I don't know. He might do it. You might do it. You might do it.
We'll see how it plays out.
Pop said 50 touchdowns and 4,000 passing yards. He did. Mr. Brown, how many rushing touchdowns we got on there? Is that included in the 50 touchdowns?
We got a question from Mario again. He asked, do you feel any pressure because it's your last year and you also following in the footsteps of Shedeur Sanders?
No. I don't feel any pressure from that. No, I don't feel any pressure from following in the footsteps of that, of Shedeur. I don't really put pressure on myself because I've been playing this game for so long, and I feel like I'm pretty smart, pretty good at it. So I just go out there and be me. And try to be anybody else.
Amen. Right. That deserves a round of applause right there. Oh, yeah. I like that answer.
Working this box. Franklin, my guy Franklin, he's asking you, are you more of a play action QB or drop back?
I'd say drop back. Drop back, I can make plays with my legs if needed. I like to push the ball down the field. I like to throw it.
Uncle said coming around, he said, what's your pregame ritual?
Always got Lil Wayne in my ear. That's my pregame. That's my pregame playlist is all Lil Wayne. And then pregame ritual, I'm out there really early. I get out there, jog around, jog 200 yards, and then come back, and then I throw, warm up, and then I'll get to about 60 yards away from somebody, and I'll just start letting something go. And then I'll go in, stretch, and come back out there with the team and stretch and then get ready for the game that way.
Okay. So,
always got to end it with like a 45 yard and try to hit the post too, the goal post, crossbar. Always do that.
Yeah. So I know this is your first time being in the SWAC. And in the SWAC, we get we get a little rough up here, and what I'm saying, rough in the SWAC all the time, bro. But what game are you actually getting you geek to play in? What game on the schedule, man, you know what? I'm about to monkey stomp these dudes right here. What's that one game that you see on the schedule that you think we
I'd probably say the first one because that's a big game. 2 years ago they lost to them in the championship, and that'll also be my first game starting since my last start at South Carolina. So that's something that I can't wait for. Obviously the quarterback competition has to happen. If I win that, that'll be my first one starting. And it's big just because I haven't had that feeling in a while. So,
all right. Q-Lou, as you say about your fun, the food drive, fun day event says, has living in Jackson energized your community involvement, or was this always been a passion of yours?
No, it's always been a passion. If you go on my Instagram or my Twitter, there should be a video on there. And I actually did something similar, not similar, but I did something in the community last year at Tech. So last year at Tech, so we had the jersey sales, and then all the profits from the jersey sales I donated to Childhood Cancer Research Foundation. So it's always been a part of me. And, I have this platform, and, I want to use it for good. I got a lot of people that follow me from all the places that I've been. And, Jackson State, they're on the map. So there's a lot of people looking at Jackson State that'll see that as well. So
that's cool, man. That's good. So any other games other than the first game, because I know we wanna get our revenge on South Carolina State. We want to get our revenge on South Carolina State. Have people told you about when we play Southern or Alcorn or even Homecoming?
Yeah, I heard those ones were pretty big.
Okay.
I heard Jackson State don't like Southern that much. So.
Oh no.
Yeah.
No. We could be cool. I'm cool with a couple of people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm cool with a couple of people. You know what I'm saying, from Southern. But when it comes down to it,
yeah.
Hey, when it comes to that week, hey, that whatever you call blue, that Columbia blue, whatever that confusing blue that you have right there, yeah, that we don't even put that on. Right. That gold, we don't put that on. No. Oh yeah, but man, because when it comes down to it feels like because of the last 2 seasons, every game is everybody's championship because they want to see Jackson State fall.
Yeah,
and I don't think that that would happen anytime soon. I don't
think so.
But there's another question I gotta ask. How do you feel about having a workhorse and a running back, Savion?
That's good. He put up a lot of yards last year, and we're gonna need that from him this year too. Having somebody that can really run the ball makes it a whole lot easier on me, because then if people can stop the run with 5 or 6 in the box, that makes it hard on me, because then they can just drop everybody in the coverage. So if they have to put people in the box in order to stop him, that makes it a whole lot easier on me, a lot more open holes to push the ball down the field and make completion.
I feel you, man. I feel you. You got another question, Tamona? I think she's doing something right now.
I don't know if she got one.
Man, but like I said, your dad is like, I see, looking at videos and listening to him, he's more like your motivation.
He's crazy.
Tell me about about your dad?
Where do I start? Y'all got a little bit of him the other night. I heard that's what he was telling me. He was excited to tell me about it too. But that's my guy. He's been there for me since I was young. He's never missed a football game since I was 5. So I've been playing a long time. I can't do the math in my head. 18 years, going on 19, I think. He's never missed one. So he's passionate about it too, just like me.
Man, that's good. Let's see. We got a question here. Got a couple of questions in here. L. Swanigan asked you, are you excited about the atmosphere while watching the boom, the pom-poms, the 50,000 pom-poms in unison on one accord? He said, are you ready to see all of that?
Yeah, I am. I've heard a lot and seen a lot about the atmosphere of the games, and it's up there in the SEC from what I've seen. It got crazy in Willie B at South Carolina. So they was telling me that it's better here than it was there. So I can't wait to see it.
What? Y'all hear that? Boy, Aaron Sanders asked, what have you seen with the big linemen so far, the O-line?
Dudes are athletic. Some athletic dudes, they can run. Them guards, they be pulling and they be moving. There's some athletic dudes that want to work and want to win too, just like the rest of the offense, the rest of the guys on defense. They're hungry for it too.
Okay. Mario asked another question. He asked, how's your relationship with the offense coordinator, Coach Harris, and do you like the new offense that he is implementing for the team for this season?
Yeah, I like Coach Harris a lot. He's a real genuine guy. You can tell that he really cares about his players with how he talks to you, how he coaches out on the field. And the offense so far, we've gone through a couple installs. It's nothing too crazy. It's very simple. You got somebody takes this away, you're gonna have this. If somebody takes that away, you're gonna have this. So it's very simple, but yet effective in a way, I should say.
Okay. Somebody asked you, was you media trained? He said, well, what are your aspirations after football?
I wouldn't say I was media trained, but I was on the camera a lot when I was in South Carolina. That's kind of where I learned to talk in front of a camera and interview situations. And then after football, after I'm done playing, if I don't go to the NFL, XFL, or any of that, I want to get into coaching just because, I want to help coach people to be able to reach their goals, just like all these coaches have helped me reach mine.
One more question. Jeans of Kings asks you, how would you rate your coverage recognition when it comes to pre-snap?
Good. I learned a lot when I was at South Carolina. So that was kind of where I learned all of it. And that's the best league in college football. So if I didn't know coverage there, I wasn't beating Auburn. I wasn't beating Florida like I did. Mm-hmm. So, I would say it's pretty good.
And I saw that tape when you beat Florida by you.
Yeah, we was 23-point underdogs, won that thing 40-17.
Right. Mm-hmm. And you went out there and you did what you were supposed to do. You directed the offense. There was some timely passes, especially some bombs out there. I've seen the pre-snap reads, pre-snap recognitions. You did your thing out there, man. You did your thing. I'll let you know that.
Round of applause right there.
Oh yeah. Hey, Timon, you got any question? You got a question for him? I think she's tending to us something. So another question: who's impressed you the most on the team so far, or like at any position?
I don't know if I can pick out one. I would say 7. Really, really good athlete.
Mm-hmm.
He's He's the real deal. He's going to be really big for us on offense this year. I would say if I had to pick out one, I would say him.
Oh, okay. Man. So do the DBs, do they give you any flack? Because I done talked about 5 of the DBs on the team, man.
Yeah, we don't really see them as much right now, other than workouts. We're trying to set up some one-on-ones to get it going. Get a feel for it. But we haven't really been with them that much from football standpoint. We see them in the weight room all the time, and they talking crazy. They coming at me, talking about they go pick me off all in practice.
Okay.
It is what it is. It's typical DB talk.
All right. Oh, I'm about to ask you about that. The quarterback room. You got yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You got Zai McDonald. You got a Phillip Short. And you got Sunshine, Grayson Thompson.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the QB room right now? And how do you feel that y'all as a QB as a group, how do you rate yourselves as far as, like I said, how much you getting taken in as far as learning the offense?
We're doing a really good job learning it. Like I said before, it's simple, but effective. It's not very hard to learn at all. I would say I probably picked up the first install within the first 2 hours of looking at it before they'd even taught it. So it's not hard at all. They're very detailed in how they teach it. So it makes it easy on us to learn it. So, we're all, for me, Phillip, Zion, Grayson, we're all picking it up very well and helping each other as we go.
That's good. Like I said, ask you, how do you feel about the current recruiting class coming in? How do you feel they will fare this season?
I think they're good. Like I said before, I think Coach TC, I think he brought them here for a reason. I know he brought them here for a reason because they could play here. And, they could end up playing a big part for us this season too, from the young guys standpoint. And then, the transfers that they brought in, they're looking to make immediate impact too. So I'm excited for them, and I'm excited to be a part of it.
All right. Miss Sarah, she asked you how you attended the basketball game and did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I was actually at the one today. We lost pretty bad. Men's did. But I was there for the girls' game. Girls won by a lot. So that was good to see at least.
Yeah. My guy, shout out to First Letter. He always tell about the basketball team. They run his blood pressure up.
Yeah, it was rough today, but it'll be all right.
Man. Anybody else got any questions in the chat on the stream? My guy, we've been asking all the questions, and hey, he been firing them off just like he a pro.
Thank you for coming to talk with us. I mean,
No problem.
this interview, you just light years ahead, and it even made all of our Jackson State fans root even harder. I think you basically are showing not only just the JSU fans, but the worlds that you're ready to conquer. It starts in Atlanta and it finishes in Atlanta, and we're great to see you at the helm.
Appreciate it.
Oh yeah. Have you been to any eating spots in Jackson?
I've been to Iron Horse. That was a good spot. Johnny T's, the wings at Johnny T's. It was some of my favorite, probably the best wings I've had. Haven't tried Stamp Burgers yet. Got to try that.
Oh, you need to go down the street and get your Stamp Burger, man.
Yeah, I got to do that. Where else have I been? That was good. I can't remember anything else off the top of my head. I had a Steak Escape for the first time today.
Man,
that was good. I ain't never heard of one of those, but I had to try it out.
Oh man, somebody asked. He said, "Do you feel like you're gonna break your door records?"
I'm not gonna lie. I don't even know what they are. I have no idea. I haven't looked into the records at all. That hasn't been something that I've really thought about. So I don't know. Hopefully.
Well, yeah, he got a couple of records. I mean, completion percentage.
Yeah, he was a good quarterback while he was here, for sure. He put up some numbers, helped them win a lot of games. So, if I break him, I break him. If not, I don't. But
Mr. Haynes, the Celebration Bowl. We're winning the Celebration Bowl. That's what matters the most out of
Oh yeah,
every uh any type of record that could be broken. The one that we need to highlight is that we are going to the Celebration Bowl. Thank you.
that's my resident MEAC guy. So when if we talking about the SWAC, he gonna come in. He gonna talk to us about the MEAC, and you know everything um, goes from there. Um,
Do you want to drop your or just give us your social media so that the people in the chat will be able to follow you?
yeah, I can do that. You want me to put it in the private chat and then you can put it in the comments, or what? Should I do it
Yeah,
that way?
I
that'll be
mean,
good. Your
yeah, that'd be good.
I'll
social
go ahead and type it.
media. And then once again, I'm going to go ahead and drop that link for the community
Okay.
drive that they're having at Word of Life. So if you're not able to drop off canned goods at the church, you can also make a monetary donation for that community food drive that takes place on March 4th.
And that will all be donated to We Will Go, which is a food drive in Jackson, or a food bank in Jackson. Sorry.
Okay, I was trying to put it in there. Uh, but yeah, man, I appreciate you coming on on the
Yep, no
stream.
problem.
It was, you know, I had to get him on there, like, cause when I asked your dad on the show, hey, get your son. I need your son on the show, man. I need your
Yeah, that's what
son
he
on
was
the
telling
show.
me.
And he's like, I let him know that you. He's like, I let him know that you trying to get him on there. I was like,
Yeah,
yeah.
he comes to me every day talking about he was watching somebody's show, and I'm like, I don't even know how you find all this.
Oh, we ain't hard to find. We are not hard to find. We're pretty much um we're pretty much I've been doing this for since May of last year,
Really?
so I kind of started from ground up. Uh, my co-host, she's been doing it for how long? You been doing this for, Timona? For a couple of months.
Oh yeah. Yep. Thank you so much our QB1 in the making, Jason Brown. Everybody in the chat, we thank you for coming to interview with us.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for
And
having me.
of course, we'll be checking in throughout the season because we want updates, progression of your journey as you journey to become the MVP QB of the SWAC.
Sounds good.
Ooh, I like that, man. Man, I thank you. I appreciate you coming on.
Yep, no problem.
I'm gonna hit you up. I hit you up later. So where we could do a kind of like a uh, um, like you said, a progression date
Okay.
of what's going on and everything. Um, so man, but I appreciate you coming on, um, telling me everything about yourself. Now I got a newfound fun friend as far as QB. Like that's I'm gonna be like To.
Mike T.O., yeah.
It's my QB. That's my quarterback. And do the face with the shades on. My
Mm-hmm.
quarterback. Yeah. Nah, but you're a real one. You're a real one, man. And I appreciate you.
Yep, no problem. Appreciate it.
All right, man. You have a good one, bro.
You too.
All right. Man. And Pop still in here. He said he telling everybody in the SWAT, get your popcorn ready.
'Cause it's gonna be a show. It's gonna be a show.
He said, get your popcorn ready.
I'm
so
so
I,
excited for the season. Like,
I
this is
and
great.
it's only February. Can August get here anytime soon? August
We got
26th.
the spring game. We got the spring game coming up.
It, I like the spring game, but I want to. I don't. I mean, it's good. It's good tackling each other, but I'm talking about looking at somebody in another set of colors, like that confusing blue and gold named Southern.
They so salty in the comments. You see Adrian cook in the comments. He be cooking. I let him
Hey,
just go
but
on.
Adrian came in, he a real G though. He a
It's
real
still
G. I thought he was gonna
engaging.
trip. I thought he was gonna trip. Adrian come in, he a real G. So I'm gonna give it to my boy, man. I'm gonna give it to my boy. He come in. Mr. Brown came in with the smoke. He wasn't ducking it either. So I was like, yeah, yeah, we need that. We need that, man. We need that. So let's get to these basketball. Let's get to the basketball for right now. So we can pull up the men's side of the SWAC. Men's side of the SWAC. Oh my goodness. Hmm. Oh yeah. So look, look. Alcorn came in and said they weren't playing with us tonight, y'all. Alcorn men came in and said they was not playing with us. Put that 15, beat us by 15, 75 to 60, and saying we still run the SWAC in basketball right now. I'm just saying, golly, golly. So of course you said you watched the game, part of it. What did you take from the game, Timona, about why they was you had to turn it off?
You said why Jackson what?
What did Jackson do during the game in this game to where they could not get going against Alcorn?
I mean, they kept throwing it, trying to put it underneath the basket, and they had bigger bodies. They kept getting like blocked underneath the basket. It was terrible.
Mm.
I felt like the cartoons in Space Jam when the monsters were like just dominating them. That's how Southern was treating Jackson State. They was just throwing us all across the stealing the ball, blocking, just made us look real unorganized. And I just don't. There's some. They were up by like 8 points or 7 points. They had just shot like a three, and then they shot another consecutive three. And I don't know where the timeout was, but for some reason it went from like being down 4 points to being down 12 in a matter of like not even 2 to 3 possessions. And I was like, where is the time out at? But I remember I was complaining about that one player.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he was actually playing. I was
Mm.
complaining about him last time because I was like, "Where is he at? Why haven't I seen him?" And I
Right.
seen him on the floor, but he couldn't hang with Alcorn. Alcorn, and that might just be that Alcorn is number one in the SWAC, so
Yep.
maybe they needed to have both him and Mansell out at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like they needed to match the basketball roster with both of them, but maybe they're just like changing them out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Mansell
They
played
needed to
22
have
minutes,
both
but he only
Mansell
had 3 points.
and him on the floor because all of the Alcorn's players were big.
Yeah, yeah. Man, that's
Oh, and
crazy.
that's his name. His name is Trayon Johnson. He's a center. They
Okay.
had him out there. So they needed to have Trayon and Mansell out there. And Cook, because they just didn't have enough big body. Just have them all out. All the bigs need to be out there.
All right, man, that's crazy. So I know we play on Monday. So Monday we
It's
have
another
versus
home game.
It's
That's
another
Prairie
home
View, I
game.
think, right?
Texas Southern.
Oh, when do we play Prairie View? Wednesday?
Prairie View is no. So we're off for until next Saturday, and then we play Prairie View on Monday on the 27th. So um
Well, that's the biggest game for the women is the
okay,
Prairie
so
View game.
that's men.
Like
So
that is our game right there. That will basically solidify that, of course. Much like Alcorn solidified that the win that the Jackson State men's team got in their house was a fluke. We need to be dominant and win by 20 plus points against Prairie View when
they
they come for the ladies.
Alcorn came in and said, "I'm taking everything." They put the Debo out on us, man. Other games today got Grambling beating Southern in overtime, 69-64. That was the NBA HBCU Classic. That's the All Star Game Classic. The game during All Star Weekend, y'all. What I'm looking at highlights, I've seen the highlights, the still pictures. Oh, them boys was balling out there. Them boys were balling out there. And not only does Grambling is sitting in second place at 11-3 in the conference, their overall record is 18-8. That that schedule that they put out early in the season was pretty much they these boys are pretty much battle tested. That non-conference schedule that they put out, they was battle tested. And so now you can see what they'll do when it comes to the SWAC tournament. And if they get it to the NCAA tournament, they might be a problem for somebody. Because more than likely, if they win it, they win the SWAC tournament, they get into the NCAA, they'll be a 16 seed, and they'll play in the first four. They'll win the first game. I want to see who they play afterwards. Whoever that number one squad is. But kudos to Grambling, uh, defeating Southern. So that was the Bayou Classic of basketball right there. Texas Southern with an 18-point victory against Mississippi Valley, 80-62. Alabama A&M destroys Bethune-Cookman, 90-56. Prairie View with an 11-point victory against Arkansas Pine Bluff, 82-71. And FAMU ekes out a 6-point win versus Alabama State, 60-54. So as far as, like I said, with the standings go, with the men's standings, you got Alcorn sitting at number one with a 12-2 record, followed by Grambling at 11-3. Southern is sitting at third place at 95. Tied for fourth is Alabama A&M and Jackson State at 8-6. Pine Bluff and Texas Southern and Prairie View and Alabama State is a four-way tie for fifth place. They're all at 6-8. Bethune-Cookman comes in at 5-9. Florida A&M 4-10, and Mississippi Valley brings up the rear at 3-11. That's all in conference right there, y'all. In conference. On the women's side, though, the women, we already know what goes on with the women. Coach Reed is Coach Reed basically trying to build a dynasty, y'all. I don't care what anybody say. She is building a dynasty, and she is looking to try to kick some butt in the NCAA tournament. And like I said, they start off uh they start off had a little shaky. They was a little shaky. They was a little rough in a non conference games. had the little hiccup against Prairie View. In Prairie View, that's the only blemish on their conference record. Sitting at 13-1, 16-8 overall. Coming in at number 2, it's a tie for second place between the Alabama schools, State and A&M at 10-4 each. 3-way tie for third place, Southern, Prairie View, Bethune-Cookman at 9-5. Pine Bluff comes in at 7-7. Alcorn and Grambling is tied with a 6-8 conference record. FAMU is 3-11. Texas Southern 2-12, and Mississippi Valley comes in at 0-14. This is all in conference play. I'm just letting y'all know, Coach Reed she gangster walking. She sea walking on everybody in the SWAC again. And somebody put in there that Coach Reed might have to be the might have to recruit for the men's team. You might have to. You might have to. What you think, Timona? What you think about that? Uh-oh. My co-host.
Don't do that to Coach Mo. I have full faith that Coach Mo will be able to recruit a great class. Don't do that to Coach Mo. I
have. Hey, he got to recruit. He has to recruit, so he'll be able to recruit this week. This year. Of course, Grambling and Southern played today.
He's still playing good. You don't think that he's played a decent as I think we ranked almost last in preseason.
Pretty much.
So he's exceeded above and beyond.
That is true. Somebody just put in the chat. Maybe Coach Reed need to go help Coach Mo recruit for the men's team.
Oh, listen, man. Coach Mo is going to get it together. I have full confidence that he will be able to turn the program around as far as elevating. Of course, it's his first year. So when it's your first year, you're, getting to the hang of things. He recruited really heavy in the state of Mississippi. And I'm confident that next season we'll have a great recruiting class. We have some great players that are already on the football team. I don't know if they're going to be two-sport athletes, but they could definitely add to the Jackson State basketball team as well in the event that they decide to play two sports. I'm excited to see the development of Coach Mo as well as that Jackson State men's basketball team, because the women's team, we got it wrapped up. Like, it's Jackson State. True. Top 2 and we're not 2, and we're number 1 by far.
That is true. I will give you that. I will give you that. So let's move over to.
They said that it's not just his recruiting; he needs some help with his coaching as well. Now that I can definitely agree with, that the coaching updates, adjustments need to be made, because that's one thing you'll see Coach Reed do if you don't see nothing else. It's probably one of her greatest attributes is her ability to adjust. They might have started out with one defensive scheme, seeing how the other team played the first half. When they come out that locker room, they have a totally different type of defense. The adjustments are made and it's working. Like, that's probably one of her biggest attributes that she has for making sure that the team is able to win, is those defensive adjustments that she's able to make. So definitely need to see that with Coach Mo with some adjustments, because it seems like whenever we leave the locker room, sometimes it's not the adjustments. We're backtracking instead of moving forward.
Right. I get you on that. So We need better. We need better defensive players. Yeah, we need better defensive players, and we also need players that can actually shoot the mid range game instead of just chunking up a whole bunch of shots from beyond the 3 point line. That would be a a nice thing to have, and to get some post players up in there. We need about at least four. We need about at least four post players that's over 6'8". Oh, hold on there. I done got after making headlines offering Marcus Stokes. Albany State is looking for a new director of athletics. Tony Duckworth is out at Albany State. Wow. And this is the man that they just brought in Quinn Gray as their head coach for the Golden Rams.
That's just stupid. Nobody even was thinking about, is that Marcus Stokes? Is that the white quarterback?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, nobody was even thinking about it. It was like fake outrage for 2.5 seconds. They're holding him more accountable than they are probably their state legislature for withholding funds from them.
Okay. So what we got? We got the Cactus Jack HBCU baseball classic. Um, yeah, Cactus Jack HBCU baseball classic. That is the new classic that's in Houston, Texas, right now. Um, it is sponsored by none other than Travis Scott. Travis Scott, he did have both of his parents went to HBCUs. I think his mother went to Prairie View, his dad went to Texas Southern. So, um, shout out for the baseball classic. I think some of these games were on the MLB network. I'm a big baseball fan. I'm like a big baseball.
Looking for it like all day today before I was looking for it. It looks like I found it now, but I was looking for the classic to watch it. Oh, it's real nice. Here, let me show you real quick. It's
Okay,
not. Can you pull that up?
gotcha.
You see it.
Hmm.
Real nice. I didn't even know that they were showing it. Like,
Yeah,
that's
they showed it
crazy.
on.
I
They
tried to
showed
pull
on the
it
MLB
earlier and I
network.
couldn't get a hold of it. But listen, when I say Jackson State put that thrashing on Valley,
Yeah,
they won big, big
and it's
time.
a good and it's a cool thing for them to go and actually play in an actual MLB stadium. Um, Especially Minute Maid Park, phenomenal, fantastic stadium. Been there before. Um, they have in the outfield. They kind of got like a bridge that's on top, and they have a locomotive train that sits on top. So Coach Johnson for the baseball team is trying to get these boys right and ready. Said this is our first game. Yeah, this is our first game for baseball. But as y'all see, look,
Well, I
I
know they won that one. They
mm,
definitely won that one by a landslide. That one was a big, big win. They don't they have another game tomorrow? They have
think they
three
have a
games,
game
right?
tomorrow. I have to check and see. In fact, let me pull it up on my end. So yeah,
They won 14-1 against Valley. So that's
14 to
cool.
1.
Right. Against Valley.
And
Their
one
next
thing I
game
did
is
see,
tomorrow against Prairie View at 3 p.m.
mm-hmm. Ooh, okay, hold on now. I like this. SWAC announces partnership with Philadelphia Phillies. That was from last season. That was last year. They said that. Um,
Mr. Carey said we did lose to Southern yesterday, so I guess we're
Oh,
1-1.
1-1. Okay.
Hmm.
Yeah, let me pull this up. Okay. Yeah, we are 1-1. But yeah, man, that's still a good thing though. Like I said, for them to actually play in an actual Major League Baseball stadium. Like kudos. Look, I'm gonna give a round of applause. I'm gonna give a round of applause to Travis Scott for sponsoring this and putting this on, man. Putting it on for the home team. I had to see the schedule. I had to see their schedule. They play Belhaven. Let's see. They do play Tougaloo. They play Southeast Louisiana. That is on Tuesday in Jackson. So that's a 6 o'clock. Uh, that is a 6 o'clock game right there. We got the turn with the first pitch is 6 o'clock. Yes, that's what I meant to say. They got Louisiana Lafayette, so that they play New Orleans. Oh, they got a game against the Mississippi Braves.
Here, can you pull it up? I um I got the schedule up here so they can look at it with us.
Yeah, they got a game against the Mississippi Braves. That's an exhibition game right there. And the Mississippi Braves is they are the either I think that's the AAA affiliate for
Little
the Atlanta
brother
Braves.
of Atlanta Braves.
Uh-huh. Hey, don't sleep on don't sleep on my Braves, man. Nope, they do not play Belhaven. The only team they play that's in Jackson is Tougaloo. Pretty much everybody else is conference.
Say southeastern Louisiana.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm saying he was asking, do we play Belhaven? You know,
Oh,
Belhaven has an actual strong baseball team for D2. Um,
okay. We don't want to play no D2.
when it comes to baseball, they don't care. They don't care. It's basically your record. That's it. Your record. You win the conference, and you win the conference tournament. You win the College World Series. That's how they go. So you don't. So we don't have to worry about the. You don't have to worry about how they do and everything. Ooh, somebody just hit me up on Twitter. I mean, yeah, on Twitter. Darian Reed, nice, 6'7", 300 pound, 3-star offensive tackle, Chisholm Trail High School. That's in Fort Worth. I'm gonna look at his state too. Yep. Oh man. All right. What else you got for? What else you got on the plate for us today?
You talking about regarding sports? Are we moving on to greener pastures?
We can still talk about sports. I mean, I had a question. What's up? What's up, Doc? Somebody, yeah. Where is Mister Ford at? I gotta drop the link for Mr. Ford. He ain't on here today. I'm trying to figure out where Mr. Ford at today. Uh, yes, I think we did. Braxton Barney, we did sign him.
What? That was eons ago.
Hey.
Hey,
The
Barney signed the
Mississippi
same
Braves,
day as
Greenwood.
Isaiah Spencer.
Oh man, people gonna talk about. All right, now tell me this. All right, I understand this. I understand that he's from Jackson. All right, but you made your career change and you made a career move to Colorado.
What we talking about here? Are we talking about Buffalo Joe? Who we talking about?
Yes, yes, yes.
Breaking news.
Why?
Possible NCAA violations. Listen, I'm tired. Do you hear me? I'm
Tired,
tired. I'm not
tired.
even tired. I'm tired of it. I'm sick of it. Okay? Listen, we should not be getting pictures of you on Jackson State campus around Jackson State players and you over here talk about some. I don't even know what the excuse is. I wanted to come see a game. Like, I don't understand. If you have fresh air, fresh water, no crime, beautiful mountains, and you don't got to worry about your car getting broken into, and you don't got to worry about all this extra stuff, why do you keep coming back to Jackson State? It don't make sense.
I,
And we're gonna put allegedly on there. Can I please say allegedly?
yes, you can
So
say allegedly.
allegedly that there were people who uh decided that Colorado was the place to be. Allegedly, they were at the basketball game today. Allegedly.
Hmm.
And I say allegedly just to cover myself, but I I have proof. And you know, if it's one thing that She Loves Thee does, she doesn't state something without the facts. So am I supposed to drop the pictures?
Drop 'em.
You think we should drop the pictures?
If I had an explosion sound on my sound box, I would do it. But gunshots would do. Drop.
Okay.
Doc said, "Yeah, drop the pictures."
They said drop the pictures. Do you know
Yep.
how I that's I
Not
think that's
missing, but
probably the
she not missing, but she gonna
I
come
think
with the proof.
I think that's like my second time seeing, or not second time, but like this is my second time hearing that he was in a vicinity of players, you know?
Mm.
And so what I want to know is like, is it everything not good in Colorado? Somebody said there's a possibility that maybe the they not the content not paying enough to afford that high ass rent over there in Colorado, because you know they
Mm.
said that the rent is high.
Mm-hmm. Now we ain't talking about Coach Lee. Coach Lee was here. Coach Lee was here what last month?
Who
But Coach Lee here last month. Coach Lee was here last month. He was in Jackson last
was
month.
that last month?
Yeah, that was last month.
Um, No, but that's gonna be Neely's second time being here.
Yeah, we talking about Neely.
I mean, that's his second time. Like at some point, it's kind of like, okay, now, you know what? Allegedly, which that doesn't really. I'm allegedly Motto is here too. Allegedly,
Uh-oh.
the Colorado.
Colorado.
Well, he's the
Well,
former Jackson State kicker, but allegedly he was here. So
Uh-oh.
that's why I'm kind of confused because I don't know if they just it was this basketball game that big of a rivalry or what is going on?
Oh, we got Mr. Ford in the house, y'all.
Hey, y'all doing all right?
We doing good. Everybody
Hey,
waiting
Miss
on
Simona. Hey, I
they had you on the segment with Jason Brown earlier.
huh?
Yeah, with Jason Brown. I had Jason Brown on the show
No,
earlier.
yeah, Jason Brown. Listen, I've been watching basketball all day. You had Jason Brown on?
Yes, sir.
Oh, I missed it.
Yes, sir.
Listen, let me tell you this. My day started. I had a friend of mine came over and put on some Isaac Hayes for me. You know, I'm from that era, man. Man, listen. You know, when I was growing up, we loved Isaac Hayes, man.
Yes, sir.
But let me ask you too. Let me ask y'all this. I watched 4 black college teams today. I watched Jackson State, Alcorn, I watched Southern, and I watched Grambling. Which one do you think to me was the best team I saw out of the 4? Who do you think it was?
Alcorn.
Alcorn.
Oh, boy, you know me. That's right. I thought Alcorn was impressive today.
I had to stop watching it because it was so good. It was hurting my heart to see.
I didn't get a chance to watch the game. But I didn't get a chance to watch the game because of the fact that I had birthday party. My youngest baby birthday party was today, so
okay.
So I didn't get a chance to watch
I watched it. Listen, let me tell you something. Alcorn might have the best coach in the conference. I don't know. Should I say that? That guy at Alcorn is good, man. They look so prepared today. They just, they were tuned. They were focused. They were concentrating.
Well, you know they had we upset them by 1 point. They lost the game that they had at the reservation. Jackson State was able to beat them by 1 point.
Well, I'll tell you what.
A chip on their shoulder.
Listen, they outclassed Jackson today. I'm serious. They outclassed them. They looked organized. They just was on. They were just sharp today.
Now I'm gonna tell you this, Mr. Ford. The game that you really gonna be, the game you're gonna watch.
Right.
You're gonna have to watch when Alcorn play Grambling.
Now when is that?
You're gonna have to watch right there. The men's.
When is that game?
Grambling.
Now when is that game?
I don't know when is that game. When that game is.
I want to see that.
That Alcorn versus Jackson State. Oh, they had us so ashamed. I was so ashamed. They had to get us back. And then they had to beat us by 15. See, we beat them by 1.
Right.
They beat us by 15.
And let me ask you this. Grambling has a 6'11" African, right? Was that right? From Nigeria?
I ain't even see. You know what?
I think they got a 6'11" African. And I think I wasn't impressed with his offensive game, but he made a difference on defense and rebound, because that's what. Listen, you remember Mr. Mona? You was talking about them 6'9s. Listen, Southern need them some 6'9s that can definitely. I looked up Southern statistical leaders. The leading rebounder on Southern's team averages 4 rebounds a game.
Wow,
that is pathetic. How you gonna win like that? Yeah.
4 rebounds a game?
He averages 4 rebounds a game. He's the leading rebounder for Southern University. I was looking up on ESPN and they had the statistical leaders, and the leading rebounder on Southern, he averages 4 rebounds a game.
That's crazy.
I'm saying now, you in Baton Rouge and you can't get no. Listen, how many miles is Baton Rouge from Houston, Texas?
About that's 40 for about 4.5 hour drive right there.
Listen, it's enough basketball players in Houston and Dallas for the whole country.
Oh yeah.
Sean, what is his name? Sean Woods. You can't go over to Houston and Dallas and get you some 6'9s. I'm talking about some real because that's what's killing them. They got guard play, but they ain't got no missile carriers. They ain't got no big people. I think the tallest one I saw was what, 6'7"?
But that's the thing that I see the height. I see I'm looking at Grambling's roster. They got some length. They got some height.
Did you see 6'11" from Nigeria somewhere?
Yeah, he transferred from Stephen F. Austin.
He was a difference today too. And the other thing, listen, the SWAC was well represented up in Salt Lake. A lot of people, there was a lot of SWAC people there. I had on Grambling and Southern paraphernalia. So they took some people up there.
Let's give a round of applause to the NBA for bringing their game to the actual place where they're playing the All-Star game at. They need to keep doing that every year.
Yeah, I hope that's a good thing.
Every year. But yeah, that Alcorn Grambling game is going to be the one that you really want to watch. I got to check to see when it's coming on. I had, like I said, Mr. Ford. If you were watching it, if you would have been on the stream earlier with Jason Brown, you would love that. You would love the kid. Love this kid, man.
Well, everybody's talking him up. I mean, the reports is that he would definitely be the starter. That's what I'm hearing so far. But I got to see him. I got to see him play. But everybody's saying he's got a lot of leadership abilities, mature, and that he can really throw that football. That. Yeah. But I got to see him.
And his dad came in with the smoke on Thursday. I did the show Thursday. I broke down Southern's schedule Thursday.
Yeah, I was at school. I saw it. I got to go back and watch that show.
Dad came in with that smoke, told somebody, hey, you're going to be sitting right next to me at the SWAC championship game.
For real?
I laughed. I couldn't hold myself. I couldn't hold myself. Let's see. We got we got that the HBCU Classic. We just finished talking about the Cactus Jack HBCU baseball classic down in Houston.
Who won the games today?
Jackson State won today against Mississippi Valley 14-1.
Okay.
We also have
didn't Texas Southern play Prairie View?
I think so.
Who won that?
Let me check and see. I'm gonna get some scores up in here. It's kind of crazy trying to get scores. All right. Composite schedule. But I know that's the one game I seen that won. They won earlier.
Now Grambling played who?
Grambling played
the Southern.
Let's see.
Because I thought it was all rivalries today.
Yeah. So yesterday, Grambling played Prairie View.
Valley is not our rivalry, Mr. Ford. That's like our little brother.
Oh, you're right. So Alcorn's your rivalry, right?
Alcorn and Southern's our rivalry. Let's see.
Well, what about FAMU? They're not your rivalry, right?
They played Eastern Illinois. That was an all-day affair. They was in Tallahassee today.
Oh, I'm saying, I was asking, is FAMU your rival? That's what I'm saying. Is that a rivalry?
Absolutely
Miss Lori
not.
already
We've been
told us
beating
that ain't our rival.
FAMU for so
Who
long.
said that?
You know, Dr.
Absolutely not.
Lori told us that
Oh
wasn't our
yeah, that's
rival.
right. That's right. That's right.
FAMU is definitely not our rival. We've been
That's
beating
not too right.
them
Okay.
everything. So there's no way they could rival against us. They don't have any wins.
You right. Well, listen. Let me ask you this. Let me tell you this. You know the SWAC baseball tournament is going to be in Atlanta, right?
Right. I just seen that too.
Well, listen. I've been asking people here in Atlanta, from the SWAC, did they know it? All of them said no. So that means the conference office need to get off their behind and promote the tournament. Because let me tell you something. If them teams come here for that baseball tournament, we can have a big crowd every night. Because the SWAC is all up in Metro Atlanta. So
Mm-hmm.
the conference office need to promote the tournament. And I'm
Yeah.
hoping now that they're doing a good job of making sure this basketball, because we're going to have some good games in that SWAC basketball tournament. But the
Oh, yeah.
conference needs to make sure that the setting is right. I don't like that schedule they use. I want them to go back and use that CIAA schedule where the ladies play, on the semifinal night, you have the two ladies games, and then you have the
Mm-hmm.
two men game, not no game at 3:00 and then another game at 7. So I hope they have the tournament right in Birmingham. Because now Doc, I'm saying this 100 times. I still say, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
continue to say this. The SWAC basketball tournament needs to be in Jackson, Mississippi. And if not Jackson, Mississippi, what did I tell you?
Not Jackson, Mississippi.
If
You
not
did say
Jackson,
Atlanta.
where? Huh?
You did say Atlanta.
No, not Atlanta.
Texas, Prairie View,
No, it's in what Louisiana city
Oh,
I said.
Baton
Southern.
Rouge.
Baton Rouge.
Baton
At
Rouge.
Southern?
Yeah. If it's not, listen, if we could get a tournament site in Jackson for the last 2 nights, for the semifinals and the final, we can have 7,000 to 8,000 fans. Because this don't make no sense now. Last year, I think we had 350 fans at the championship game. That's ridiculous. That's horrible.
But like
The
I said, if
SWAC should have 7,000 to 8,000 fans at the semifinal games and the final game.
I told you when I went to the game when they had the SWAC tournament, SWAC championship game in Dallas for the tournament, basketball tournament. It was a nice crowd that was in Garland. It
And
was
how many thousand you think it was?
probably about 4,000.
Yeah.
10.
If we had that thing in Jackson, we can do 7,000 for the championship, at least 7,000. Because
Right
see,
there.
listen, remember Jackson, everybody's close. I think the only people, well, I don't know what it is from Tallahassee to Jackson. I don't know what it is from Daytona to Jackson, but Southern's close to Jackson. Mississippi Valley's close to Jackson. Alcorn is close to Jackson. Montgomery's close to Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
Alabama A&M wouldn't be a bad ride. See, all of those, that's the middle of the conference if you have it in Jackson. If we can't have Jackson, let's take it to Baton Rouge.
Yeah. Yep.
So people can get there.
We will get there. I understand that because, that's the only knock about it. That's the knock about our conference too, because you got two schools that's in a whole nother state, almost on the towards the end in Florida. The furthest, like I said, the furthest school is Bethune-Cookman.
Right.
Yeah, but I like the logistics being in Jackson,
Right.
playing at the AAC, playing at the Vet. Like
Right.
had the SWAC championship football game in Jackson. Don't have it nowhere else.
Right.
I actually
That's
like
what I
it.
say too. And well, the way
not
it's
gonna
looking, TC's gonna have it for a while.
Yeah, because you're not gonna lose no money.
No,
No matter what school who's gonna be in there. You're not gonna lose
guaranteed
no money.
50,000.
Guaranteed 50,000.
Yeah.
The businesses around Jackson's gonna make money.
Right.
And then it like say you have the SWAC championship for basketball at the AAC.
Yeah. I think it would be great.
You can pack that out.
Yeah, you can pack it out. Easy to get to.
Shout out to the OG, Mr. C. Lee McInnis, Professor. What's going on today? He said third of the fans were Alcorn people. That's
What did he say?
crazy. He said a third of the fans were Alcorn people today.
Oh yeah, I thought it was.
Dang.
I've watched both games. Both of them came on at 4 o'clock. I turned back and forth. I watched some of. I've started out watching Southern and Grambling, then I watched Alcorn and Jackson. Charlie Neal was the reporter for the. I mean, he was the lead analyst for the. He was play-by-play for the Jackson game, and then they had a girl named Stephanie Reedy and Grant Hill and this girl that went to Georgetown. They did they were the broadcast crew for the game in Salt Lake City.
Oh yeah.
But I just thought that Alcorn was, of the 4 teams today I saw, I thought Alcorn was the most impressive.
Yeah. Hey, Tamana, let's go ahead and get into why this person was in Jackson today. I'm about to pull it up, y'all.
Who?
You already know. Mr. The dude from the Lit House called him Buck Neely. So, I'm gonna go with what they call him. So here's the thing, though. The thing is, I understand you went to Jackson State, graduated from Jackson State. That's all fine and dandy. You're from Jackson. It's all fine and dandy. All right, but you making your bones with University of Colorado. You're doing the content for them at University of Colorado. You had Alejandro Mata in Jackson with you too. Why are you in? Why are you here? I understand being at home, but why come to the game and start talking to these players? Because to me, look, that sounds like a big old fat red flag right there.
So were they poaching players?
No, they're not. I don't think they were poaching players. But the thing is, if said coach is telling you to come down here and say bring a player back with you, that is poaching, and then that's the NCAA violation.
I think that I don't know. I think that they think that that's okay, but I don't think it's okay that they continually come to campus and be on
What do you
campus.
think, Mr. Ford?
Now what was the question again?
I was just saying, what do you think about Neely coming back to Jackson? And
Did he have his bodyguards? That's what I told everybody. He better have his bodyguards. Did he have his bodyguards with him?
No, but it's just weird because you've purported all these negative things about Jackson State, and someone said that it's a public venue, but it's literally Jackson State campus, and regardless of if it's public or not, you cannot be talking to players, current players. If you look at the picture, looks like it's a player that's currently on the roster in the red.
Oh, what you think he tried to take it back to Boulder?
They said Mata came with him to the game.
The field goal kicker?
Yeah, that he came to the game.
Oh.
Maybe it's just me. It's just weird. That's not weird.
Yeah, they haven't cut ties. That's what it is. They haven't cut ties. They're still trying to come back and get some milk.
That's not weird to y'all?
Yeah, it's not right.
It's weird.
Well, one thing about it, if he's breaking any rules, you know they're gonna come down on him.
Mm-hmm.
But my thing is, are they doing it on purpose? Because they know what the rules are. So at this point, it just comes across as if it's purposeful that you're doing that.
Well, I mean, you know now, AD Ashley Robertson knows about it. You know that now. So if he doesn't say anything, or President Hudson doesn't say anything, I mean, hey. But if they, raise a stink about it, I'm quite sure something will be said.
Yeah. And then another thing that hit my airwaves, uh, it was on yesterday. Now, said coach had an interview, and during the interview, he said that that he ties in looking for his players as in what type of home life that they have.
I heard, yeah, I've heard. That's not the first time he said that.
So,
Those are talking points. Um, he's trying to appeal to a certain crowd because
hmm
that
What
makes
crowd
no
is that,
sense
Mr.
whatsoever.
Ford? What crowd is that?
Huh? Huh?
it's that
White
pale
people?
comparison
I mean, I
crowd.
don't know. It
Yeah,
just doesn't
yeah,
sound
yeah.
like something that you would want if you're getting recruited and your mom hears that. That's not something that I would think would be impressionable for somebody to hear about.
Well, Mr. Mona, I've said this over and over. See, Dion is like this, right? He's an habitual liar, but that's not the most important thing. The most important thing that he's trying to see is when he tells his lies, who believes it? And you have to understand there are a lot of people who believe his lies because they don't know any better. He's a person that's trying to control the narrative.
Right.
That's one of the things he's always trying to do. And so when he puts out stories like that, I'm like you, Doc. That stuff makes no sense whatsoever.
It makes no
But
sense. And the way, if nobody didn't read that article, y'all,
I'm gonna
I'm
have to
saying,
read. Let's read the actual statement that he made just to put context with it because maybe not everybody has heard the exact words of what he said. So maybe I need
Mhm.
to read it verbatim so it's not taken out of context. He said, we want mother, father, dual parents, Sanders says. We want that kid to be a 3.5 GPA and up because he's got to be smart. Now, Coach Sanders has always talked about fast, tough discipline. He can't make bad decisions off the field at all because he has to be a leader of men. There are so many different attributes and what we look for when we see a quarterback, and we would love a coach's son.
Mhm.
So now we're going to talk about
A defense.
a defensive lineman.
Mhm.
No, it says an offensive lineman. Sanders says he looks for dual parent homes and a strong father. But when it comes to defensive linemen, Sanders somewhat jokingly says that single mama and he's on free lunches trying to rescue mama is what he looks for. Why would you say something like that?
last time I checked, didn't he come from a single parent home?
Yeah.
I mean, my thing is, and I will say this, that I don't know if it was highlighted that much, but if you look at the defensive linemen on our team and our linebackers, I would most of them had their fathers in their lives.
Mhm.
Niles Gaddy, Aubrey Miller, like I would venture to say I can't name like all of them, but most of our team members had their father in their lives. It wasn't none of that like stereotypical fatherless children coming from impoverished backgrounds. You know what I'm saying? They might not have went to a private school, but it just comes across as disgusting to me. I don't that's not something, and maybe he's just trying to get into the news cuz everything else is not working out.
But when
Well,
you,
I think one of the things we got to understand about Dion psychologically, he likes to hear himself talk. Okay,
Mhm.
and he never has enough publicity.
Can Nick
So
Saban make those statements?
no, no,
no,
Can Hugh
no,
Freeze make those statements?
no.
no,
And as Power 5 head coaches, is that the type of publicity that they like to pull? Like he just doesn't come across as a coach to me. You're asking to be a Power 5 coach, but you're not creating a Power 5 environment and you're not acting like a Power 5 coach. Every other week is some stupid little drama that you got going on involved with just dumb stuff.
Well, that's Dion. I, Mr. Monty, you've read the article that the New York Times did on him after the Southern game. Did you read that article?
No, I need to read
There's
it.
a pattern.
Unless it's the one that just said Dion is who he's always been. If it's that.
Right. There was an article done
Oh,
by
okay.
the New York
Well,
Times where basically they were saying that there's a pattern with him. He really doesn't stay with anything too long.
oh yeah.
Read that
I
article.
remember that.
That article tells you the truth.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that one right there.
Yeah, they wrote it shortly after the SWAC championship game.
Okay.
I mean it's self-sabotage though, for me. It's self-sabotage. It just seems like he wants to sabotage whatever it is that he was begging for and they gave it to him in Colorado. It seems like he's just hell bent on sabotaging it because you just do little irky things that Power 5 they don't put up with that type of stuff. Like I'm pretty sure it didn't make that much of a headway because like you said everybody's like, "Oh, this is Dion being Dion." But
Yeah, well, see,
perpetuating
like I said, with Dion, the most important thing is not the lies he tells. What he's waiting to see is how many people believe the lie.
and it's not hard for the people that he's working for and
Mm-hmm.
it's not hard for them to believe those type of lies because they have implicit biases about black young men football players. Black football players are not as smart as white football players cognitively. And this isn't even just on the college level. This is the NFL. The NFL used to rate uh, black players at a lower level cognitively so that when they were going to try to get reimbursements for concussions, they would not qualify.
Yeah, that's true.
So this isn't
Yeah,
just something that, although it's Deion Sanders that's saying it, the reason why it's so dangerous is because you're perpetuating it. That's why it's so dangerous. You have so much influence, and you did a 180. You went from HBCUs were the best thing since sliced bread to they're dangerous. It's not safe, and then our young men are smart enough to play in the NFL to I want someone who's angry and from a single parent home. It's like a 180.
Yeah, that's kind of like that's a double standard. That's what it is.
well,
That's a double.
what they're looking for are people who are misinformed, who are not well read. And when he says that stuff, they accept it because, I've said this over and over.
Mm-hmm.
In our culture, we worship celebrities. Dion's a celebrity. Okay. Yeah. And so there are a lot of people, whatever he says, they accept it as fact, even though it's ridiculous and it makes no sense at all. It has no credibility. But because he said it,
Mm-hmm.
they accept it. And so that's just one of the problems we got. Because this stuff about he won't what did he say that he want to if it's okay to have you can be single parent if you're a defensive lineman and then but if you're an offensive lineman he want two parents. Is that what he said?
Yeah.
See that makes no sense.
Man, hold on now. I got the OG. Got Mr. McInnis. How you doing?
Hey, I'm good. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear.
You know what? I was just literally enjoying y'all. I mean, when Sister Timona asked me to come on, I mean, I want to be clear because a lot of times I don't come on a lot because I keep telling people, and it's also a pleasure to be on, Mr. Ford. I believe in black genius, and so as I'm sitting here listening to y'all, I think y'all were explaining it well. I think the only point that I will add about Coach Sanders confusing stereotypes with authentic black culture is that he understands American culture is black culture. Mm-hmm. But the problem with American culture being black culture is that often white people live vicariously through us. And so what they have done is, and let me start here. I used to tell my students that white people don't know how to walk, talk, dress, be stylish, or cook until Black people, usually between the ages of 15 and 50, tell them how to do so.
Right.
The problem is that what often happens is white culture will take simply the surface level presentation of our culture and won't want to deal with the social political roots that created that culture. And that is what ultimately creates a stereotype. And so often when you hear Coach Sanders, and it's not just him, he's a you know, I tell people that he's just an example of the larger problem with this, is that when you have Black people in entertainment, and that can be sports, that can be films, novels, that can be music. What a lot of Black people in entertainment do is they will illuminate or extend or expound upon those really stereotypical things that which white people gravitate toward without giving the social political context. And so when you make that statement about I'm looking for a defensive lineman who comes from a single parent home, and then as Sister Timona says, that's not even true for the paradigm you were using at Jackson State.
Right.
But when he's talking, a lot of times when we're talking to other people, to ingratiate ourselves to those other people, we will play up those stereotypes. And so, and I'll end on this, that what I tell people, and I just want you to listen to both parts of my statement. Probably in the last, I would say since 1985, 86s, there's really been no such thing as Black music. Now, I know people are like, what do you mean no such thing as Black people? That Black people making music, that Black producers, Black. No. What you know is Black music has been predominantly a white co-opting and perversion of Black music. And so it's Black people coming to our culture, taking the most salacious, the most primitive, and the most flatline base of who we are, and presenting that as our totality. And often when Coach Sanders makes these type of statements, he understands that he is ingratiating himself to people with that mentality, with that notion of who Black people are, because he then gets to be the best of both worlds. He gets to be authentic in that he came from that, but he also presents himself as being the safe one who can be the buffer between what white people want to, how they want to live vicariously through us, right? Everybody want our blues, but don't nobody want the pain that caused our blues. So
Thank you. That's right.
Everybody want our athletes, but don't nobody want the pain and structure that created our athletes to be great. And I stop there to see if.
Well, your thesis about the music is correct. The book is called The Death of Rhythm and Blues. It's written by a guy named Stanley Nelson, I think it is. That supports your thesis. And you're right. What they want to do as what white people want, they want our style, but they don't want to catch the hell that we catching. You're absolutely correct about that. But I think we need to keep in mind too now, two things. Dion is not an intellectual, and he's definitely not a leader. So we need to be careful listening to the stuff he says, because remember now, Dion is the one that made the rule about the Deion Sanders. He flunked out of Florida State, I think it was 1988 or 89, and then they still allowed him to play in the bowl game. I think it was the Sugar Bowl against Auburn or somebody. But they made a rule the next year. It was called the Deion Sanders rule. They said if you flunked out, you could not play in those New Year's Day bowls. So that's who we're talking about. So, like I said, the most important thing is not the lie that Dion tells. What they're looking for is the amount of people who believe the lie that he tells, because he's a habitual liar, whether you want to accept it or not. He's a habitual liar. Okay, no, he never gets enough publicity. Okay, he double, what they say, he double talks. He's double minded. But the whole thing is, who believes the lies that he tells?
And I think that what we have to also understand is one of those things where it's even bigger than Coach Sanders, because what I tell people is, like, having published like 3 articles on various subjects about Jackson State over the past 2.5 years, one of the things that I was able to see is that in the chat, some of the worst critics of both Jackson State and Coach Sanders being at Jackson State were African Americans at PWIs. And I want to be clear, not all African Americans at PWIs, but the large majority. And that speaks to, again, this segment of the Black community that has embraced the notion that their only survival is through white leadership or through white institutions. And I think that like I made the statement the other night, and I said that small minds discuss people, average minds discuss events, and expanded minds discuss ideas. So let's expand it to this idea of self-hatred. One of the things that Coach Sanders did at Jackson State and the success that he had at Jackson State did, it really brought to the forefront the way in which it showed that a good number of Black people devalue Black things, right? Particularly Black people who devalue Black institutions. And I think that's going to be something on which we really need to separate, because even once whatever happens with Sanders, no matter what he does in Colorado, what we do moving forward, at some point, we really have to study the very malicious types of things that was said in the chat about Jackson State over the past 2 years, and why so many of that was from people attending PWIs. And here's why this is important. This is important because simultaneously, while you're having this issue with Black self-hatred and Black people having debates about the best route for sovereignty, Afro-Mississippians are being colonized legally by Governor Tater Tot and his racist minions. And so what we have to understand here is that the reason this issue around Black people being so willing to defame Black institutions is because the more we defame Black institutions, the easier it makes for racists such as Governor Tater Tot. And a name that doesn't get mentioned a lot is Senator Philip Gunn. Senator Philip Gunn is one of the most racist elected politicians the state of Mississippi has ever had. And if you know the history of Mississippi, that should tell you a lot, that I'm willing to say that about a man that's living today. But if we don't have these real clear understandings about, because it seemed, right, I just kept asking myself, if I were a Black person who chose to attend a PWI, why would the success of Jackson State bother me? Why would the success of an HBCU bother me if I feel like I made the right choice? So clearly, a lot of these Black people who were at PWIs, who had so many negative things to say, the success at Jackson State was touching them in a way that, for whatever reason, they were vocal for 2 years. And that is the idea thing that we're going to have to truly engage if we're really serious about at some point becoming sovereign people and remembering the history that Mr. Ford and so many others give us, so that we can build on that history and truly become sovereign people.
I think that's important to highlight, that the amount of Black people who were speaking ill of HBCUs, and the reason why it's going to be so interesting is because affirmative action is on the line. It's literally, maybe I would guess within the next 6 to 9 months, we're going to have a reckoning at that level. And I think that there's going to be a mass a mass of students going to HBCUs.
You're seeing it now, Mr. Mona. Look at all your major Black schools. They're busting at the seams with students. We don't have enough dormitories. I think, fam, you just bought a new apartment complex. You're seeing it now.
So telling, because once again we have racism, systemic racism at play. We have the inability to expand because we need more dormitories. We need more student apartments for them to go to. But I really think that we're going to see a shift, and a lot of, and we're not saying that you are not smart enough to get into a PWI. That's not what we're saying. What we are saying is the PWIs are no longer going to be held accountable, so they don't have to accept you. So while they don't have to factor in race in the applications when accepting you, to know that you are Black and that I don't have to accept you speaks volumes. To know that I am able to say, I don't think I want to allow you to come in, and there's no repercussion for that. We're going to see that there's going to be a lower level of applications for minorities. And yes, we know that white women historically have benefited from affirmative action more than African Americans. But for the African Americans who were allowed to go to PWIs and race was a factor, there will be a decrease.
And just to give you some, because I know we got somebody else on, but just to give you some empirical data behind that, here's what people need to understand. People love to point to the 35% graduation rate of HBCUs. They say, well, you all guys are only graduating 35% of your students. Well, here's the problem with that statistic. Only 39% of African Americans graduate from PWIs. So to your point, it doesn't even matter the amount of applications that they're getting, that they're not, PWIs are not doing a better job of graduating African Americans than say HBCUs. And then here's the point. People love to talk about the 2.1 million Black folk who attend PWIs. The problem with that is that, yes, 2.1 million Black people attend PWIs, but 80% of all of your judges come from HBCUs. 50% of all of your lawyers come from HBCUs. 50% of all of your doctors come from HBCUs, and 20% of all of your STEM people come from HBCUs. So it's, and also HBCUs do a better job. There's this ratio they have about when someone enters college in the economic lower class, and then after college they ascend to the middle class. Like, that's a stat that they keep. Did y'all know that for African Americans, HBCUs do a better job raising their students from the economic lower class to the middle class at a 3-to-1 ratio?
Wow.
So if you want to be a judge, it's better to go to an HBCU. If you want to be a doctor, it's equally as well to go to an HBCU. If you want to be a lawyer, it's equally as well to go to an HBCU. And if you want to ascend from the economic lower class to the economic middle class at a 3-to-1 ratio, it's better to attend an HBCU. And so those are the types of things that we can't allow Black folk who are out here repping PWIs to not tell the truth, that regardless of the number of people, Black people who attend PWIs, HBCUs are still doing a better job of getting Black people where they want to be than PWIs. And that's empirical data, and there's no lie and there's no mistruth that can refute that. I'll shut up. I'm sorry for going so long.
What's up going on, Uncle Sid?
Yeah, man, I had to jump in on this one. I had to jump in on this one. Good evening, my beloveds on the line. Let's talk about the issue. A couple points here with Coach Prime. I think with Coach Prime, the thing about it is that the biggest thing that he failed to do was tell the truth about his intentions. See, in the HBCU community, as well as our culture, one thing you cannot do is, because we've been so bludgeoned and raped and pillaged and all this stuff over these years.
Right.
You can't tell us something that you're going to do something and don't do it.
Right.
Because see, you have to understand, we have a nature of accountability because we go through so much. We're underfunded, and then we have to go through the media just to recover, saying, oh, well, we paid them this and nobody has seen a dime.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to go through things of that nature. So he came out, and then the biggest thing that I still have not seen anybody, now maybe you guys have, but I hadn't heard it per se. Dion, you can't come to the Bible Belt talking about God. You just can't do it. There's no way that you can do it, because the people in the Bible Belt are going to hold you accountable, because the first thing that comes out your mouth is that God led me here. and we're going to change this, and we're going to bring this, we're going to do this. But I just say, anyway, with that, we're over that now. This is a TC generation now, so we're going to roll with that. Now, let's talk about these PWIs. All right. Because I read a post where a young man stated that he was an LSU graduate, and he stated that a 4.0 at an HBCU is like a 2.5 at a PWI.
What?
Wait. When I say I checked him so bad that he actually deleted the post. Because I'm a Tougaloo graduate and a Jackson State graduate. And like I told him, when it comes to higher education, I graduated from Tougaloo with a 2.9, graduated from Jackson State with a 3.5, but the two PWIs I went to, I had a 4.0, and I only studied 30 minutes before class. And one of them was a PhD. So I didn't get, the whole thing, but the point I'm trying to make is that they have a lot of these kids, when they go to these PWIs, especially the ones that are non-athletes,
right,
they have this bias, number one. And number two is they're brainwashed because now they feel like they stay in the house, if you get what I'm saying.
right.
And they also look at HBCUs as being educated with soil and clay.
House Negroes versus field Negroes.
Exactly. See, our education to them is saying, okay, well, they have to eat clay, meaning that their dining halls are not like our dining halls. Their bookstore is not like our bookstore. So they still have the mentality that we're in cornfields still getting educated, and cotton fields getting educated. But see, one thing about that is that people that go to HBCUs, we all know one thing. You're going to get your education.
Yeah.
And you're going to be very knowledgeable, meaning well-versed. Because I tell my employees all the time, and my interns, I said, man and woman and child, if you graduate from HBCU, you can conquer anything in life. Because of one thing, HBCUs hold you accountable because it's family. When you miss class, it's just like you missing your auntie class.
Yeah.
It's just like you're missing your cousin class. And then when you walk out on that yard after you done sat on the yard too long, then people rolling their eyes at you.
Yep.
And they going the other way. And then you got to catch up to them and say, hey, what was on the syllabus? Man, you're still the same mind, man. And Dr. McInnis was like, where you was at? And I ain't had nothing to say. See, that's the culture right there.
Yeah.
See, PWIs, and I'm not knocking PWIs because, like I said, I graduated from two of them. But it's more you being a number there.
Right.
And it's not even just that. It's like, don't equate PWI with being better.
Way, hell no. I had to check them. I was like,
I go to a PWI, and guess what? The buildings at Jackson State are renovated more than the ones that I go to in my classroom. Do I get on social media and berate that PWI? No, I just go to class.
And I had to check, dude. I was like, dude, I went to Tougaloo in fall of 1994. People don't realize, well, I don't know if they changed. Well, I heard they just changed it probably about 15 years ago. But people don't realize at that school right there, you had to take a test to get in before freshman orientation. They called you that you had an acceptance, but then you had to come test that summer prior to going.
But I'm gonna tell you just like this. I tell people, look, I went to a PWI also. I went to Jack State.
Those are my two
Jack
damn
State
hardest
too.
degrees. I'm gonna tell you that, because Tougaloo and Jack State put it on me.
Yeah,
For real.
yeah.
And
I
they
went
wasn't
to
playing, cause Dr. Glover, she wasn't playing with you.
ooh.
She wasn't
Um,
playing with
yeah, I went to Jack State, and then I went to Stephen F. Austin. And I'm gonna tell you just like this, Doc. There's no difference between what I saw at Jack State and what I seen at Stephen F. Austin. The only
you.
difference
No.
is more of this and less of this. So
Yeah.
that's all I say. But
Yeah.
when I
And
got
it's
there,
shameful.
people asked me, student body, they asked me, but they ain't never seen me coming up in there. Um, they asked me like, "Where you from, man?" I said, "I'm from Dallas." They said, "But you from what school did you come from?" I'm like, "Okay, what you mean, high school or college?" No, first thing they said, high school. Yeah, I went to Cedar Hill. Okay, yeah, I went to Cedar Hill. Cedar Hill was predominantly white when I went there. Um, I was the first person to go to Jackson State in 25 years from Cedar Hill. But they asked me what college I went to. I said I went to Jackson State. Oh man, y'all, I know, like all y'all did was party. I was like, bro, we could do all that stuff right there, but I bet you, I could go out on a Wednesday and be back in the dorm by 2:30 and still get up for my 8 o'clock class on Thursday. Whatever day I go out, I still get up and be in class and be on time and have my notes ready and whatever we got going on. I said we just don't do that all the time. We don't have to do that all the time. Now, I told them, well, this one thing I know about Stephen F. Austin. Y'all sure do like to party, and y'all in the middle of the woods. Like you 2 hours, you about 2 hours from Houston, you 50 minutes from Shreveport, you're 2.5 hours from Dallas. You're probably like an hour and a half from Longview. I don't have to do I don't have to do all that. I did, y'all can say we party all the time and stuff like that, but look, you got
But you were
bars,
trained
right?
though, Doc. That's the thing. I don't
Right.
mean to cut you off. You were trained. See, Jackson State trained you. See, that's where a lot of people have the misconception. HBCUs, they train you for the world. They are the buffer into the world.
Mm-hmm.
Think about all these wonderful novels we had to read. The Miseducation of the Negro,
One of the
Black
best.
Power. I mean, we had to read
One of the
all of this
best.
stuff before you even graduated.
That's right.
And you had to have written a paper on it, expounding on it, because they want to know, did you read this? And they're gonna read it line for line. And you remember the red pen, Mr. Ford?
Yes. Do I? You just
Man,
called that a classic, though. That Miseducation of the Negro. Every black child should have to read it.
I
exactly.
respect that. I respect that.
Exactly. So, that's the thing. And that's what kind of ticks me off about the whole premonition of the PWI, because they're brainwashed. And then some of the students that go there, they feel like they've made it. And that's not the case, because, I've hired young men and women from PWIs, and I'm having to train them from something I feel or I felt like they should have known.
I had a
And
friend
I've
that
and
I had
I've
a friend that went
hired so
to
I hired a guy from Lamont on, and he basically running the show. He just has one degree,
mm,
and he
I had a friend
graduated
that
in 2019.
I had a friend that graduated from Stephen F. Austin, right? Major was pre-law. She ended up going to Texas Southern Thurgood Marshall School of Law, and came out with with everything that you can get from that school, like everything that you get from that school. I and I never, she said she never batted an eye because of the simple fact that, like you said, it was harder for her to get that master's degree, that Juris Doctor's degree from TMS at Texas Southern than it was to get her, a political science degree from Stephen F. Austin. And I was like, yeah, they don't they literally they don't play. Like that's one of the top law schools in the state of Texas. They do not play.
And you look at it from an educational standpoint. And shout out to all my educators out there that attended HBCUs. Haven't you noticed throughout the years they teach different. They care about the kids. They get on the kids.
Yeah.
They care about them. Because what influenced me to go to Tougaloo was because I always grew up wanting to go to Hampton for some strange reason. That was on my radar. But then my father died. He was a judge. He was elected in 1979. He was like the first black judge since Reconstruction,
right,
in Jackson. And he was a Jackson State graduate. And I remember when I was a little kid, little bitty baby, just going to, because he was getting his master's after he had got his law degree because he wanted to do some more work. And I remember being a little bitty boy that he was stressed out every time he left class, just because of the amount of work that they were putting on him. And that's what inspired me to go to an HBCU, because he was well prepared. And like I said, I probably use my undergrad way more than I use my doctor. Stuff that I learned at an HBCU.
Dr. McInnis, I got a question for you.
Yes, sir.
All right. So I remember you was on Ken Clark's show. Shout out to Ken Clark in the 1400 Club, everybody over there. And they were talking about, I think me and Timona, we was talking about House Bill 1020. And for some people that didn't, I don't know, some people that didn't understand the bill, like kind of explain it to them what that bill meant as far as state of Mississippi.
All right, so and we have to understand that House Bill 1020 is really a part of 3 bills. And so we have to understand that there are 3 bills that's on, and all 3 of these bills are designed to legally disenfranchise Black people. I said, so we have to understand that that's the whole point. So before I even get to House Bill 1020, let's talk about what's happening.
Okay.
Since around 1997, 96, 97, when white people realized they were no longer going to have the votes to control Jackson, there were 2 things that they attempted to do. One, of course, was going to be a mass exodus. In fact, you check history, generally whenever the Black voting base gets around 35, 40% in the town, that's when you traditionally begin to see white flight.
Right.
And what I tell people, though, and I always have to be clear about this,
right?
White flight has never killed a city. You go to every city, white flight has never killed a city. What kills a city is when the Black middle class chases after the white folk. Because the Black middle class actually has the commerce, actually has the capital to take care of its own. It's just that psychologically, again, we don't believe that we have the ability to control ourselves. And so after white flight and after the Black middle class left, and then Jackson's tax base, what white people decided to do, they were going to leave the city, and then they started trying to take institutions. First, they tried to take the Jackson Zoo, and they tried 2 or 3 times to take the Jackson Zoo. They didn't do that. They are currently still trying to take the city airport. And in fact, the wording and the bill to actually take the city airport is done. The only reason they haven't moved on it is because Mayor Lumumba has promised that if you do this, we're going to file a lawsuit, the same one. What's the city in which the Panthers play?
Charlotte.
Yeah, they have the same lawsuit. They have the same pending lawsuit. We have enough white people left the city, and they were trying to take their airport. And that case has been in that case has been in the courts for 10 years now. And so Mayor Lumumba said, go ahead. You try to take the airport. We going to file the same exact lawsuit. And y'all ain't got as much money as the white folks over here in Charlotte. So what they are now decided is, since we cannot do those type of things, let's just take the city legally by passing these 3 bills. And so what House Bill 1020 does is that it essentially creates an unelected, state-appointed court system. Essentially, if House Bill 1020 becomes law, Black people will not be able to choose their own judges. That's essentially what it is. So that even though you quote have the right to vote, someone can come in and say, this is the court system that you have. Now, they're doing it by what they're doing is they're expanding the capital improvement district. So, and this started about 10 years ago, where they decided, okay, since we don't have the vote in the city, let's take about a 10-mile radius of downtown Jackson. It started with downtown Jackson, and now they're moving that from downtown Jackson into East Oak. And so House Bill 1020 will create a court system appointed by the governor. And you need to understand, it's not just a criminal court system. See, because they're going around talking about it's because no, it's a criminal and a civil. So why is it important that it's criminal and civil? Because business matters get decided in civil. Who can own a business? Who can get licensing for a business? What types of expansions can happen in there? That's going to then equate to their ability to use eminent domain even more to seize the vet. Right. The one problem with the vet, and again, I'm one of those people who don't think I'm not necessarily against a stadium being on campus. What I understand is that they're never going to give us a stadium with 50,000 people if they can help it. What y'all need to realize is that when they first started talking about taking the vet and giving us a stadium on campus, the first number they gave us was 15,000. That was the very first number. And then it went from 15,000 to 20, 25. I think the most was somewhere between 32 and 35. I think that's so. When people were upset that the legislation died for the new stadium, I was clapping because I know that an old campus stadium is only going to be 32 to 35,000. So that Capital City Improvement District with those new courts, they will be over that. It won't just be crime. And so that's what House Bill 1020 is doing, and that's what the other 2 pieces of legislation is doing. Because there's another piece of legislation that will allow them for someone to essentially recall an elected official in Jackson just by writing a 200-word statement and getting a petition signed. They made it easier to recall elected officials. So that's part 2 of these 3 bills. And so all of this is because when white people left the city of Jackson, they thought it was just going to implode. And because it hasn't imploded at the rate, now they're tired. It's like Doc Holliday. It's like this. It's like I left my woman, and then my woman started dating Doc Holliday. And now I want my woman back, but Doc Holliday, he putting that thing on her. She's smiling, she's skipping to work. Right. And so I got to get rid of Doc Holliday because I want this woman back. So now I'm basically sending my boys out to assassinate Doc Holliday because I want my woman back. They want the city of Jackson back. And for everything that's bad about Jackson, Jackson is like the epitome of Black people, that for everything that's bad about us, we continue to survive. And here was connecting this all back to Jackson State and Jackson State football. Here was the cowbell. Here was the red flag for white people in the state of Mississippi. 2 years ago, Alabama Crimson Tide played Ole Miss in Oxford. On that same Saturday, Jackson State homecoming against Alabama State, we had 1,000 more people in the vet than was at Oxford. That scared the hell out of white people because they realized that the vet and Jackson State can be the largest economic boom for the city. And they're right now passing laws to say that even if you have an economic boom, we're going to be able to put people in place to take your ability to vote, to take your economic boom, and to perpetuate your second-class citizenship.
That's also called white minority rule. That's South
Yep.
Africa.
Yep. That's exactly what it
What
is.
they hate is multiracial democracy.
Yep.
Man.
You were saying some of the things that they do. The other thing that you got to keep in mind when a city turns majority black, they seek to take all of the wealth out of the city.
Yep. And that's one of the things when people get on me and I tell people, I say, look, I live in Hines County. I refuse to shop outside of Hines County. Now, I want to be clear to the black people who live around. I've never said that black people can't live and buy what they want. But what I'm saying is we have to be intentional. As black people, we have to understand that no one else is going to fund our revolution but us. And I'll use this example, and I'm not even a religious person, but I'll use this example a lot. I always found that the very person at church who complaining about paying tithes is the first person complain when the heater don't work in the winter, or the first person complain when the air conditioner don't work in there. Yeah, you can't complain about paying tithes to your church. Everybody like to talk about the building fund, Joe. We all like to tell the building fund, Joe. We've been paying to the building fund, but I ain't seen no building. Well, stupid. The building fund is not about buying a new building. The building fund is for maintaining the repairs of the church in which you exist. And as black people, until we are willing to fund our own liberation, we will continue to be victims to what Mr. Ford has said, because they know that we don't support ourselves economically. And because of that, we're not able to fight against the political injustices because we don't have a strong economic base.
Man, that's crazy though. That's crazy.
And that's because the people that are supposed to be able to empower and reach back to us, they have basically denied their in group, which African Americans are the in group. And when they obtain wealth, they basically forsake the in group and say it's not our problem. What you asking us for? Why we gotta donate?
Yeah.
So that's
Well,
what happens. Is
that
you have the celebrities, the Oprah Winfrey's, the Jay-Z's, the Beyoncé's, the people that do performative things with regards to HBCUs or just the black community as a whole. And even just a tweet from Deion Sanders or Beyonce that says the apartheid that's taking place in Jackson, Mississippi, we shouldn't stand for that. Even just a tweet, you don't even have to give donations, but even a tweet like that from an influential black celebrity would move mountains because of America and celebrity worship. They'll say, well, what is happening down in Jackson, Mississippi? You know, just holding people accountable and using that influence, not necessarily using money, but using the power that you have. What they do is they get the power and they don't bring it back to the black community.
Right.
let me give you two quick examples of that. The first one, because I'm a poet and short story writer by trade, but I'm also, one of my books is a book on Prince. That book has been taught at 10 different universities. I actually got to work with Prince for 18 months. And when you talk about separating people from their in group, when Prince was first starting to rise, right, his first 5 albums, so during the 1999 tour, when he was, quote, beginning to cross over because MTV put his video, Little Red Corvette, in heavy rotation. Prior to MTV putting Prince's video in heavy rotation, Prince's audience was 85% black, right? So when people talk about, so once Prince started crossing over, the whole, it was called the 1999 tour was called the Triple Threat Tour. And it was Prince, it was The Time, and it was Vanity Six. And all of them were basically touring in one van. We'll show you what white people do when they want to separate us, our biggest or most known. So they've been complaining about, hey man, we all around this one bus. When Prince started crossing over, Warner Brothers bought this big ass bus that could hold like 75 people. Yet the only person they bought that bus was for Prince.
Right.
Think about that concept. So now what you're doing is and of course Prince was a shining star. He was writing all the songs, all of that. So then that's what they do. They separate you from your community with hopes that you won't give back to your community. And so we have to be mindful of that. But that happens with athletes, that happens with everybody. If we're not intentional about that. Now, the way that we fight that is, I know a lot of us have seen the movie Malcolm X. But what a
Right.
lot of people don't pay attention to are the end credits. If you ever watch the end credits of Malcolm X, at the very end, there's a listing of a whole bunch of black artists. And the very first black artist is Prince, is Sidney Poitier, it's Oprah Winfrey, it's a whole lot of people. The reason all those black people are listed at the end of that movie is because Spike Lee ran out of money for that movie. And he was about to go and ask Warner Brothers, for some more money. And I can't remember the white director who told Spike, no, Spike, don't go ask for no more money. He said, why? Because if you ask for more money, they're going to take your movie. They're going to make the Malcolm X movie they want to make, and not the one you want to make. So instead of going to the company and asking for more money, all those black people that you see at the end of that movie, those were the people who gave money to Spike so that he could finish having that movie made. That's the kind of intentional work that Sister Simone is giving. And then I'll give you one last thing. Some of y'all are not old enough to remember the hip hop song for Martin Luther King with what's the man who did the song? They're playing basketball. What's the song? Who was the rapper who did? Y'all remember the song? They're playing basketball.
Yeah. Oh man.
We
What
love
was
that
Curtis Blow.
Curtis Blow.
this?
When
Yeah.
Curtis Blow spearheaded the hip hop, they were trying to get the Martin Luther King holiday. So they did a song just kind of like We Are the World to give a holiday for Martin Luther King. And again, the company, the studio, would not give them money for a video. Curtis Blow, and he tells this story a lot, it was Prince who paid for the whole video to be shot.
Right.
And so this is what Sister Simone is saying, is that having our best and brightest taken from us is an actual systematic move. And we have to not be ashamed, because what happens is we can say things, we can do the same thing. We can say you can live and do whatever you want, but you also have a responsibility to the people who purchase your art. You have a responsibility to the people who help get you. And I'm not saying you should go broke for the people who got you where you are, but you can't just take from the culture. You have to also replant in the culture, so the same culture that sustained you could sustain somebody else. That's it.
Man. Whew. So that House Bill 1020 is that's crazy though, to have say, well, you don't be able to elect your own, your judges. Then somebody is going to be in another part of the city, where there's a majority white, you know what I'm saying, white majority. They don't look like you. They don't have your best interest. But they'll be able to rule and govern over you.
Right.
It's no
That's
different than what they did after the Civil War. It was called the Black Codes.
Yep.
It's the same thing. There's nothing new under the sun.
It's just
They're
the
trying
fact
to
that
maintain white minority rule. They know that this country is becoming majority black and brown. And what they're saying is that they're not going to share power with any other ethnic group. And so it's the same thing they did after the Civil War. Yep, I'm telling you, it's called the Black Codes. It's no different.
That's it.
what's even more disheartening is that will see a shift in it's we're going to see a shift, and it's not going to be it's not Democrats versus Republicans. It's not like that. Because at the end of the day, this social hierarchical structure is based on race.
Mm-hmm.
No doubt
And
about it.
for
That's what the
Democrats,
country's based on.
you cannot for Democrats, they cannot alienate their base, which means that majority white and everybody else, you cannot come to the rescue of blacks. if you come to the rescue of blacks, you're risking losing your base.
Right.
And because of that, you will see that they will also uphold these environmental racism, structural racism, and they'll say, "Oh, we sent $800 million to Mississippi. We did our part. It was the Republicans' fault that you guys didn't get your money."
Right.
There's no accountability from the top up on down through. There's going to be excuses, and who is being hurt by this? The citizens of Jackson, Mississippi, the citizens of Mississippi. And I would even venture to say that this is a test in Mississippi. And what do we know about precedents? If Mississippi is able to set that precedence and it's not flagged unconstitutional for someone to be able to instead of you electing officials, somebody's able to appoint it, that's going to be popping up and happening all over, not just in Mississippi.
Yeah, it's happening in Georgia right now.
And look
Yeah.
at his
What you got? The other thing that we need to understand is what happened on January 6th is going to happen again. There's that militia group and those people like that green lady from Georgia and Getz and all of them. What they're pushing for is the toppling of the government. They want a coup d'etat, and they want to go to an autocratic government. In other words, democracy don't work for them anymore.
What you got, Randy? What's going on, man?
What's happening, y'all? I basically just have a question for the panel. We talk about HBCUs being underfunded based on what monies they receive from the states, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is that system? I mean, it's obviously broken, but is that something that we should be fighting about more than just the monies that they receive from each state? Like the whole thing to me is broken. You know what I mean? Like that part has to change.
Right.
Like how HBCUs receive monies, or just even smaller schools. You know what I'm saying? Like,
so I'm gonna say it just like this. In the state of Texas, and I always say this: 3 schools written in our state constitution. It's University of Texas, Texas A&M, and Prairie View. All 3 schools are supposed to get somewhat equal or close to equal amount of funding. Of course, the first 2 schools are going to get that amount of funding because they are the first white state supported schools. The third school, Prairie View, is supposed to get the same amount that Texas A&M get, and it hasn't happened. And the fact that Prairie View had to join the Texas A&M university system in order for them to actually get their money is, to me, as laughable because of the simple fact that it's written in our state constitution. Our state constitution say, "Hey, Prairie View supposed to get this money. They supposed to get this money." But of course, when you have back then, you remember in the early 1900s, the 1800s, after the Civil War, all the way up until 1960s, 50s and 60s, states was Democratic. Majority of our southern states was Democratic.
well, that's what I'm saying. Doc. Like I mean, you're talking about the 50s and the 60s, and you know what I'm saying? Like I think that should be looked at also. Like, throw that system away, bro. Like, I think it should be, dealing with like need more than like numbers. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think that the problem is, and this is gonna sound strange, it's not the system, it's the people. like what Doc Holliday said, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi all had essentially the same case and lawsuit. All three of them adopted similar but a little bit different measures.
Okay.
On its face, those systems, those solutions, it sounded all right. I'm not gonna say they sounded good. The problem is, Randy, the people who administer that system. So, for instance, give you an example. Under the Ayers case, there was supposed to be a fundraising initiative, and so there were people who were supposed to be on this fundraising initiative. Well, for Jackson State fundraising initiative, they put Leland Speed as the head of our fundraising initiative. Well, Leland Speed had a history of being the most racist land bearer in the state of Mississippi ever seen.
Okay.
So why would the most racist land bearer in the state of Mississippi ever seen raise money? And to this day, Leland Speed nor their committee never did any kind of fundraising. So the problem is that even when you go to court and can win some things, as long as these states. So for instance, the state of Mississippi is still 64% white. And 64% of those people vote 98% together as a block. That's just how they vote.
Okay.
Right? So
even the poor, even the poor whites in the rural areas who have no hospitals, no health care, our recipients are supposed to receive TANF benefits. They will vote Republican. And it's the same for African Americans who vote 80% Democratic, regardless of whether or not you have what you need in your city or not. You're going to vote Democratic.
So I know this sounds like I'm not too versed on how the money comes down, right? But it may sound strange. It may sound well, it's just different, right? Why can't we put some type of bill together, or all the states that HBCUs are in, right? They get their money straight from the federal level.
Because federal can't intervene with states' rights.
Right.
It's always going to be like that. That's the reason why we had the Civil War. Federal rights superseded states' rights. The states wanted to, the southern states wanted to secede. They did. And they gave the northern states a big middle finger while doing it. And while doing that, they basically they formed their own, all the states in the South formed their own type of economy. When it dealing with agricultural, a little bit of mechanical, they had a dichotomy as far as the economy goes. It can't happen. That's the reason why, because it's states funded. The states, the representatives of the states, it's states funded schools. The representatives of the states is going to write a bill and say, hey, we're going to give. Let's just say we'll give Alabama State such a certain amount of money, probably maybe 20% of what they're actually owed, and you're going to get that 20%, but it might be over years and years and stuff like that. But the thing about it is, as long as you live in the South where there's an HBCU at, it's always going to be controlled by a Republican majority. That's it. It's going to be Texas, Republican. Louisiana is Republican, but you got the Democratic government.
God damn, I just feel like there's a way away, man. At this point, bro, come on.
How much money was supposed to be owed to Tennessee State? About $1 billion. They only got $254 million, and then the state told them you can only do with your money. You have to do this with your money in order for us to give you this money.
Restrict the funds. That is,
They restrict
there's
the
no
fund.
way in hell I would have ever settled. I don't care if it takes 15, 20 years. I want the full billion. And it needs to be unrestricted. How did you? And then they go and they sign it like it was a win. That was not a win. Jackson State should be, or not. Jackson State, Alcorn, and Valley need to go back for that Ayers case because number one, they made the percentage so high, 10% diversity at these schools, that Valley was not, and Alcorn was not able to obtain the amount of money they needed over time because you have to meet those that quota, and it was unattainable. You don't even have 10% diversity at these white colleges. How can you expect for an HBCU to maintain that level of diversity?
Right. And just also Unstoppable 25 in the chat is talking about Senate Bill 3000.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the problem. It's a yes and a no. The funding on that, we're still about 3 dorms behind what we should have.
Woo.
So you have to understand that it's kind of like it's kind of like you I'm supposed to get 3 meals a day, but you said, well, look here, I'm gonna fund breakfast, but don't worry about lunch or dinner, right? Be happy that I funded breakfast. So that's what we're talking about, is that when you look in proportion, see the Ayers case was about what happened is HBCUs would hit benchmark. Well, all colleges hit benchmarks. So you get paid, the state gives you money based on benchmarks. The Ayers case arrived that Jackson State, Alcorn, and Valley were hitting benchmarks, but they still weren't getting funding even after hitting those benchmarks. And so that funding that Jackson State is getting for repairs and construction of one dorm, that's actually 2 dorms behind and a 3rd building.
Oh my
so
God.
that's the problem, is that you're still underfunded. The question isn't are you getting funds? The question is, are you getting enough funds, right? And so that was the problem with the Ayers case, and I'm not going to get too much into the Ayers case because even the Ayers case was a problem of white supremacy combining with Negro ineptitude. I'll just put it that way, because if I get into the weeds of there were some decisions by Black people made in the Ayers case that also hurt us, that would be a 2-3 other hour show. And I would just tell anybody that you can research the documents for the Ayers case. They're out there online. I would just say start Googling the Ayers case and just read through the initial complaint, the response by the state, and then read the Supreme Court's. The Supreme Court ruled on it, but then they sent it back to the state, because that gets back to what Doc Holliday said. The Supreme Court actually said twice that Jackson State, Alcorn, and Valley were right. They said you were right and you were owed these 13 things. The problem is that since Scalia was the head of the court, it was a conservative court, and they were all about states' rights, rather than giving these 3 Black colleges what they deserve, they simply remanded it to the state, knowing that the state was never going to give Jackson State, Alcorn, and Valley what they needed.
Man.
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
it is crazy. It is crazy. So, what is the solution to all of our problems that we
I was just
got?
about to ask him that.
There are really 2 solutions, and I don't know. And this is why I hate doing this, because I'm not as optimistic as everyone. And I need Mr. Ford, because Mr. Ford will be able to say, well, no, McInnis, you lying, or yes, McInnis, you telling the truth. Here is something that most people don't understand about our liberation struggle. The Black liberation struggle did not necessarily succeed because of laws and elections. It succeeded because Black people were willing to be an economic force to force white people to create more fair and just laws. So segregation doesn't end because white people all of a sudden believe, oh, let's be nice to Black people. Legal segregation ends because Black people said, we're not going to spend no money with you. We're not going to use our labor. And so until black people in the state of Mississippi and black people around the country are willing to say to white people that until you do right by us, what's that old color purple? Until you do right by us, our money gonna stay in our pocket. Until you do right by us, we're not gonna spend money with you. Until you do right by us. That's really the only thing that these evil racist people understand is money. But unfortunately, there are enough black people making enough, like there are black people who don't live in the city of Jackson who actually think that this issue doesn't pertain to them. So there are black people who live around the city. And I'm not knocking people. You can live wherever you want to live. But these black people think, well, I don't live in Jackson. That doesn't have anything to do with me. But they don't understand that injustice anywhere is injustice everywhere. And if they can take the power of a black person's vote in Jackson, it's not that they can do it to you. Taking the power of the black vote from Jackson is taking the power of the black vote anywhere in Mississippi. So until
anywhere in the nation, it's not.
Yeah,
we don't even have to just leave it to Mississippi. It's a test. Mississippi's a test subject. I just was on Twitter arguing with I don't even know, God knows how many people about the lack of nobody cares, not at the federal level, not at the state level, nobody cares. They would rather spend 25.7 billion in Ukraine.
The problem is black people don't want to be free, we just want to be employed.
Right.
And until black people stop equating freedom with employment,
right,
we will always be second-class citizens.
We're the highest paid slaves in the history of mankind.
There you go, Mr. Ford.
I think that to be honest with you, if we would go back and read the classics, go back and study Booker T. Washington and what he said in Up From Slavery. Go back and study Marcus Garvey and what he said with that organization, the UNIA. Yep. Go back and study the Nation of Islam and what Honorable Elijah Muhammad said. If we could go back and study that, the answers are already here. Okay? But the problem is that we always got to do the crabs in the barrel thing. You know, we see people going up in our community and we want to pull them down. Okay? Like y'all talking about the money. Okay? Now, we don't have to ask nobody for nothing. After black folks pay their bills, they got $2 trillion in discretionary income. You spend $234 billion on tennis shoes. Why we got to beg somebody to run our colleges? You spend over $10 billion on hair weed. Why we got to beg somebody to give money to our schools? We got money. They said if you take all the black people in America and put them in their own country, you would be the 8th to the 14th richest nation in the world.
Yep.
We don't have to beg for nothing.
Mindset.
What's the does anybody know the number? What's the number? Somebody said that collectively, that every Monday, as a collective unit, I think the black church puts anywhere from $5 to $10 million in the bank every Monday. It's all the black churches and what they deposit from Sunday. They put somewhere from $5 to $10 million in the bank. That's every Monday. Multiply that out through the year, and that gives you just part of that number that Mr. Ford is saying about how much money we have.
That's crazy.
And here's something else that's crazy. While we are only 14% of the population, and that's dwindling a bit, we are the second largest consumers of luxury items.
There you go. You got more Mercedes in the black community than you have in all of Russia.
There you go. And again, you know, I tell people you can buy what you want, but the question is buying what you want limiting your journey to sovereignty?
Because we're on personal journeys, I think. It's a personal thing. It's not, we're not thinking group.
And you're right. And until more black people are outraged about what's happening in Jackson. But again, that's also part of the self-hatred thing, right? There are a lot of black people, right, coming back to this whole this lightning rod thing. There are just as many black people. Like I said, again, when I'm not on social media, but my wife is because of her job, and she just talks about just how many black people it was on Facebook and Instagram and all these places talking negatively about the city of Jackson and Jackson State. And
One
that's
of the
black
things,
stuff.
one of the things I wish that everybody that's listening to this chat would do, go and get the Willie Lynch plan, and you will see the things that they've been doing the same thing to us for 400 years.
Yep.
Read what they came up with in something called the Willie Lynch plan. Just put in your computer the Willie Lynch plan, and you'll see what they've done to us and what they continue to do to us in a more scientific way today.
So they're basically perpetuating or legitimizing myths. So the myths that they perpetuate is that's just how the world is. So that's the idea that whatever people get, it's deserved based off of their life choices. Or, you know, the myth that if only blacks would vote, if blacks would get out and vote, then they could change this systemic racism. Or the Protestant work ethic. If you just work hard, you can get ahead in life. Like
Voting's not gonna save you.
No.
These myths.
Voting's not gonna save you.
Right.
And
There's
see,
all these
everything.
myths.
See, the reason voting is not going to save you. Every 20 years, they're going to change the rules.
Yeah.
Okay, you passed the Voting Rights Act in 1965. They totally gutted it.
Right.
It basically is just something on the books. It means nothing.
I think it's a poll. Voting is a poll. Sometimes I feel like voting is a poll. It's the numbers that we accumulate to show them what we want versus what they're going to give us.
Yeah, I mean, it's understanding that the problem is we always discuss voting, which is what we should have discussed, but we never really discussed black liberation economics. That's what was missing. It wasn't that voting in and of itself was bad, but voting by itself. See, voting, as Ms. Ford said, voting just sets the parameters or the rules of the economic games.
Right.
Right. The problem is we never really learned or cared about the rules for the economic parameters to become sovereign. And so we need to. Let me give you here's an example. Most people don't know that the only real job of not Chancery, the Chamber of Commerce, right? The only job of the Chamber of Commerce is to make money for the city by finding people who can make money for the city. Like, that's the job. So, for instance, in the city of Jackson, any black city, the job of the Chamber of Commerce is to go around. Let's say that this was that Doc Holliday and Sister Mona, that what they were doing was actually a physical business in Jackson. The job of the Chamber of Commerce would be to go to Doc Holliday and to go to Sister Mona and say, let us show you how you can monetize this so you can earn more money for yourself and earn taxes for the city. The problem is, and this is going to step on some toes, to connect those two, we have to stop voting for people just because they are our church member or they are relative. Because there's a sister, and I was trying to pull up her name, but there's a sister, a black woman, Democrat, who Cockerham, that's her name. She votes with the Republicans 90% of the time. And when you go to her constituents and say, why are y'all electing her? They say, well, she our church member and she our relative. And yet when you look at her background, she's never made money for herself. So how can she get elected to office and make money for somebody else? And at some point when we're voting for people, and I know this is going to sound however it's going to sound, at some point to connect the voting to the economics, we need to understand that the people that we send to office are people who can make money for our communities, who can develop our communities into money-making entities. And then that's how you're then connecting the economics so that your vote is devoid. But right now, your vote really doesn't, not saying your vote doesn't mean anything, but your vote is not as powerful as it could be because we don't work in economics.
Well, I think you got to keep in mind also that when you send these politicians, you got to understand a lot of them are nothing but professional liars. They whatever way the wind blows, that's the way they go. But the thing you got to keep in mind, when you send them to these state capitals and you send them to Congress, they meet up with these people called lobbyists. And the lobbyists pull out that briefcase and it's filled with money. And they have to make a decision. Most of them want the money. Okay. But what that lobbyist tell them is this: we're going to give you the money, but you're going to vote the way that we tell you to vote. And so you have to understand about a lot of these politicians, regardless of race, they are nothing but puppets of these corporations and these rich families.
Yep.
Yep.
So,
And we also have to go to we don't get involved in caucusing anymore. And so caucusing, and this is something that's important. Caucusing is when the community gets together and identifies the person they want to run for office. A lot of times, and I'm not saying that an individual doesn't have a right to say, hey, I want to run for office. Okay, let's run for office. I want to run for office. Y'all vote for me. But often what that does is that it limits, in a lot of cases, the community to choose the person that they know is going to work for the issues in their community, because that person was chosen from that community. And so that starts with neighborhood association. So if you are, let me say this, whether you're a homeowner or a renter, because a lot of times we think that if you rent, you can't be involved in your neighborhood association. There are also renters neighborhood associations, but both homeowners and renters. So wherever you are, Black people, get involved in your neighborhood association, because your neighborhood association can drive the caucuses, so that you know that the person that you're going to push to be elected has your sensibilities and your values and the things and the work that you want to get done. And that way, then it's not just I'm voting for somebody who's my church member, my relative. I really have chosen someone, and we need to start looking at those people who've done things in our community and say, hey, you've done this in the community, you've earned this, and you've done that. Have you thought about running for office? And then that way, if we go back to using caucusing, we can do a better job of putting not only qualified people in elected offices, but people who will be beholding to do the will of our communities.
Facts.
Yeah.
I also think it's important that we have more interest groups than just the NAACP.
Oh, no doubt.
We need our own interest groups, and we need our own lobbying, and not putting it up to the NAACP to highlight some of these issues. So basically, there needs to be an HBCU lobbying group whose specific purpose is to go to Washington and fight for HBCUs. And also, which I think some people might think it's being disloyal, but African Americans at some point are going to have to get your voting power back. And what that means is the 80% that when Joe Biden said, you're not going to vote, if you don't vote for me, you're not Black. Basically what he was saying is, I can say whatever I want and I can do whatever I want. I know that you're still going to vote for me. And that's how the Democrats treat Black voters.
Right. They take them
As
for granted.
disposable
Yeah.
and not serious. You don't get any of the legislation pushed. And that's because this is scientific data that proves that overwhelmingly African Americans, no matter which candidate it is, 80% of African Americans that do vote are going to vote Democratic. What that does is you lose your voting power, because now they don't have to promise you anything. They don't have to pass anything, because they know that they're going to have your vote. So you have to take back your voting power and demand that these people don't come to your churches promising things, and then when it comes time that you're in office, you're not holding up to your end of the bargain.
We got another person in, Brother Picard. How you doing today? Lit House.
Yeah, I've been in Lit House. What's going on? What's up, everybody on the panel? What's going on?
Hey,
It's
now.
all good, man.
Hey, look,
What you
I
got
hear
to say
y'all.
on this?
Huh?
What you got to say on this subject right here?
I heard y'all talking. I heard the one brother talking about the Ayers case, and that kind of like piqued my interest a little bit. And I've been listening, and I heard the other brother talk about Marcus Garvey and Booker T. Washington up from slavery, and all that is all that is right up my alley. But I think the biggest thing for Black people is right. I think the biggest thing for Black people is Black people gonna have to learn to respect and love one another again, and we're gonna have to. Once we do, we're gonna have to organize and strategize. We say unity, but when the sisters just spoke on voting, we spoke. We vote as a group as a whole, democratic anyway, but we don't vote with a plan. We don't vote. We don't have no real plan. We don't have nothing to hold these people accountable. We don't believe in putting our money behind any of our missions. We just think if we vote, everything is going to be okay. And if we look now, I'm 51, right? But if you look at us in our situation now, and I tell people I'm a student I love history, right? I study a lot of history on my own. But if you look at our situation today, our situation as Black people hasn't changed. Actually, in a sense, it is getting worse. Just if you just listen to these social media streets, right, as they call them, the YouTube streets, just listen to how Black people speak about HBCUs. We have no idea. They're not affiliated. They're not associated. None of them never went. But just listen how Black people speak of HBCUs. Look how Dion can just say, I got receipts, and you'll find 30, 40 videos of everybody talking about how Jackson State is just stealing all Deion Sanders' money. And then when Ed Reed went off the handle, went in one of his CTE rants, how everybody just said, see, that's how HBCUs is. The biggest problem, because I'm going to be honest, like me, if I was white, right? See, when he, like I said, when he mentioned the Ayers case, that's kind of close to me because I actually did that my pops, right? But if I was white, I wouldn't fund y'all. I wouldn't fund us either. I wouldn't fund anybody that have the potential to take power from me.
Right.
And we don't need, in all honesty, if we respected and love one another, just think about how Marcus Garvey in the UNIA was able to, all of those businesses they was able to fund in the early 1900s simply on Black people money back then. So we have to look and say, what changed with our mentality, the reason we don't want to fund none of our true movements, none of our real movements that's going to create power for us. And that's what we have to start looking for. We have to, because that's what I search for. We have to look for power, not equality. We have to look for power, not white acceptance. We have to be Black strong, Black first, African first, not searching for diversity and everybody coming and people of color, because everybody has joined forces against us, right? This is my
right.
Can I ask you a question?
Joined forces against us. So in order for us to make it, we're going to have to look in the mirror and just say, it's going to be us. We can't worry about everybody else. We can't worry about other people right now. It's going to be us. And that's what I wanted to come up and say. And thank you for letting me speak on your channel.
Oh no, you good, man.
Can I ask you a question, bro?
Go ahead.
How would you fund these schools if it was up under you?
How would we fund the HBCUs if they were under me?
You
saying how would I fund them? I'm repeating the question to make sure I got it right.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Like if you was in control, what would your plan be, or what are some of your ideas?
Okay, for me, some of my ideas, what I would do, and I know we should have more of our Black millionaires supporting, but they don't for whatever reason. But I would reach out to them. I would have to figure out a plan. something that we can do, and it may bother some people, but we're gonna have to stand on being black, and like we're gonna have to show the history of what we have done with our dollars,
Mm-hmm.
and say this what we can do right now. We are richer now. We are richer, and we are the richest, most educated Africans in the history of this country, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right
Mm-hmm.
now, the world. So
Mm-hmm.
we're going to have to look inside of ourselves. I was going to pitch to our people about what we need to do for one another.
Okay.
I think we more
Because see, I
successful
think
we do it.
I sort of get what you're saying, and I really believe, right, that we could put something together as a people and make the HBCU funding thing a global thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we can just organize enough to reach the masses, right? Put the light on the problems on HBCUs, and don't just make it statewide. I mean, global thing, a black thing. You know what I'm saying? That people would just fund, just go to one spot, boom, 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 boom. I think that'll do it.
And you know what? And I agree with that. And if we were in position, say all of us was running the HBCU and we got a committee, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes we have to take advantage of the movement right now, the HBCU movement, right? So then we also have to take advantage of some of the things that the people is doing on the continent of Africa. Yeah, Ghana, y'all came and got this money from this country. Now you are saying every African American can come to Ghana and they are guaranteed citizenship. Well, but this is what we're doing with our universities.
That's
and
right.
Some of that money and some of those resources that you all have in Africa, HBCUs should be a part of some of these diamond mines. We've been separated too long. You have to give the pitch to our people so that we can do it. Now, I'm a firm believer, and I tell people I'm a Garveyite because I'm a firm. I believe in Garveyism with Marcus, but I ain't gonna turn down nobody else's money. And should nobody else be allowed to come in and make no decisions on our behalf because we know what's best for us. Everybody else come and want to take power. They want to come and control what we are doing. No, you can be quiet. If you want to make a donation, you can make a donation, but you don't have any say so here.
Right.
Kind of like what Malcolm X said to the lady where he went to go visit the university, and she wanted to be down with the cause, and he was like, "I like your fervor, but you can't help what what my people are going through because you enable it,
and you're the enemy.
Yeah. And
right?
like the brother said in the chat, and this is something I always talk about. We give all of our talents to other people, and I'm not just talking about athletic talent. He said we need to reach out our 5-star intellectuals, even all of our brain talent, because we think in this country, white acceptance, being next to white people, make you naturally better. That's our mindset. I understand we've been conditioned that way. I'm not blaming nobody, but I'm saying it's 2023, and our teaching should start at home. What we teach in our youth, we should teach them. It's shit. Take your skills, your small media talents here. You understand? Go here. There's a lot of black schools where you can go to. Think about how much money these other schools is making off our people thinking HBCUs is not good enough, but we would rather go play a higher tuition to go to Mississippi State instead of Jackson State. We'll pay a higher tuition to go to Florida State instead of FAMU, Alabama instead of Alabama State. Now, just imagine I was looking up a thing. I want to say it was in. I looked it up. Oh, I'm on the one. It was in. I think it was in one of them New York papers. But what they say, 90%. New York Times, I think it was. But 90% in the Washington Post, 90% of black college students go to PWI. So just imagine what we could have or would have if more of our students went to school, went to an HBCU.
Yeah.
We have to understand the history. They created They created them. They created most of them because they didn't want us to go to school with them. So that means it's ours. But we get so much negative attention. Some people told me the HBCU is the biggest problem in the Black community. I said, explain. And they say, it's the curriculum. I say, so tell me the curriculum. What's the curriculum? Well, they ain't teach them to be revolutionary. I say, what are you teaching at home? So our children shouldn't have to wait till they turn 18 to know about Malcolm X and Marcus Garvey and Martin Luther King. You understand what I'm saying? So we want to put all of it on one group, the HBCU. But we got to think about what we're teaching our children in our community at home. It starts with the parents and the community. So by the time they get to 18 and go off to college, they already have a thought in their head of what we need to do. And when I get these talents, or when I become a doctor, or I become a lawyer, or some of them, I'm going to play football, and you get to the NFL or the NBA and you make that money. But I know I owe my people. So therefore, the doctors and the lawyers, we coming back to the community, the football, the NBA players and all that, we're going to help you put the medical clinic here. So you understand if it makes sense. That's it.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense. I got something for Mr. Ford and Dr. McInnis. Got a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if it might be a hard question, or do y'all think that desegregation was the end all be all for our HBCUs?
Well, I'm gonna defer to Mr. Ford, but I'll just say that what people need to understand is that we're confusing integration and desegregation. That's the problem.
I'm going to integration.
No. You good. Because I see people mentioning desegregation in the chat, and actually, what Black people wanted was to be desegregated, not integrated, and those are two different things. And that's the problem. And then most people don't know the difference. Most people use desegregation and integration as synonyms, and they're not. So the law of the land, right, was separate but equal.
Mm-hmm.
That was the law. But the reality was separate and unequal.
Right.
Black people didn't have a problem with the separate. We had a problem with the unequal.
Right.
So the original fight for Black people was not integration, was not to end the separation. We were cool with separation. We simply wanted, if you were going to spend $10 per student at one school, spend $10 per student at another school. That's what Black people want. See, to be desegregated means to be treated equal under the law. So I want everybody in the chat and everybody who listens to this, that's the difference between desegregation and integration. Desegregation simply means treat me equal no matter where I am. Integration
Equal
is
protection.
Equal protection under law. Integration is going to put everybody together. Now, here's what went down. Unfortunately, the only way to test desegregation was to go over to the white people's school. But here's what the plan was. What Black people thought was going to happen was, we're going to go over to these white people's school and we're going to force them to keep us from coming to their school. We'll fund your school equally. That's what we thought was going to happen. But unfortunately, what happened is that every private school, except religious schools, found that after 1954, those private schools were all founded as a reaction to the Brown case, and more importantly, a good number of those private schools were actually started with public money. And so what happened is that, so for instance, you would have, and in Mississippi, for whatever reason, they decided to integrate, right? We didn't want to integrate, we wanted to desegregate. They decided to integrate after the Christmas break. So you went home for the Christmas break, and then you came back, and then you were going to go to the white school. But what happened was that The white teachers, some of the white teachers refused to come back, and the white teachers went to these buildings. These buildings that used to be owned by the state and the city were sold to private entities for $1. Buses that used to be owned by public school districts were sold to private white entities for $1. And these white teachers who were still getting paid by public schools went over and taught at these private schools and continued to get their check for that whole year from the public institution. So a good number of these so-called private schools, the lies that they pulled themselves up by their own bootstrap, no, a good number of private schools started after 1954, particularly between 1954 and 1960, was started with some type of public funding. And so it wasn't desegregation that was the issue. It was the act of integration, because the act of integration was us leaving what we had and taking our economics and our labor and our talent base over to and what would happen is when they integrated schools, they always would close. Now, not only would they close the black school, but then the black principal would be sent to the classroom and the black teacher will become the teacher's aide. So we have to be clear on the difference between desegregation and integration. It wasn't desegregation that killed the black community. It was the lie of integration, because what happened with integration was white people continue to get our talent, yet we got no economic gain for
Mm.
Excuse me, Mr. McInnis. I ain't got my glasses on, so if I mess somebody's name up, sorry, I can't see it because I ain't got my glasses.
Now you good, you good.
Put my glasses on. When you were just talking about how they was purchasing the buses and how the public schools basically built to help build up the private schools, right?
Yes, sir.
Where can I find some of that information? Not that I don't trust you, because I do. I just like to have that information.
It's called Black Labor, White Wealth. It's written by Dr. Claude Anderson. He goes in depth with it.
Yep.
His name is Dr. Claude Anderson. Everything he writes about is on that subject he just talked to you about. Read any of that. What's the other one? Read this guy. He wrote all the stuff called Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys. He was out of Chicago. Read all the, what's that guy's name?
I can't think of his name, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
He says raising the black boy to be smart. He has one called Black History. Read all his stuff. It supports everything he just told you.
Yeah, but
it's not. I know Haki Matabutu was that black publisher. This guy was named. He looks so young. He's a vegetarian. I can't think of his name.
It's not Juan Jakufu, is it?
That's him.
Yeah,
The guy that just asked you that question, where to support. Read all of his stuff. See, what he's saying is that the black boy should be trained in black schools that are financed by black people. Black people write the curriculum, and that we should have more houses that should follow the same model of a Morehouse for all of our black boys. He wants the black boys trained separately, which I agree with him on that. But you read Dr. Kawanza Kunjufu, read all his stuff. He has several books. But read Dr. Claude Anderson, it's called Black Labor, White Wealth.
Mm-hmm. All right. Yeah, because I wanted to have that information what he was talking, because I talk about that on my channel. I talk about integration, desegregation, the difference. I know the difference. I understand the difference. I just want to know.
I'm sorry. Listen, the other person that you want to read about how this integration messed up our minds, this lady was named Dr. Frances Cress Welsing.
Yes.
Read anything she's written. This lady's brilliant. She's deceased. Read her, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing.
Yeah, I know Dr. Frances Cress Welsing. Most of the people, but I hadn't read Black Labor, White Wealth. He was talking about how they were selling buses for $1 and how because I was raised in this lifestyle, so I understand the immigration, the segregation, the economics. I know y'all know Fannie Lou Hamer is at the Freedom Farm.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever? I know you heard of the Delta Blues Festival, right?
Yes,
It
I'm
used
from
to
the
be in
home of
Green.
the Blues, Clarksville, Mississippi.
From where?
I'm from Clarksville, Mississippi,
Clarksville,
home of the Blues.
Mississippi. Okay,
Yes,
yeah, I'm
sir.
from Glen Allen, Greenville. So the Delta
Yeah,
Blues Festival that used to be there was in Freedom Village, right? So
right.
I wasn't raised there, but my dad, my dad, Jake Ayers and Fannie Lou Hamer were good friends. So I've actually been on Freedom Farms and I know how the Freedom Farms work because the Delta Blues Festival, everything in that Blues Festival went back to the
Wait, wait,
little
wait,
village.
wait,
Man, they
wait,
had their
wait,
own
wait,
everything in that
wait,
little.
wait. Slow down, slow down. You said Jake Ayers is your father?
Yeah.
Man, I didn't know you were royalty.
I'm
Uh-oh.
appreciate it. Yeah, that's my dad. Yeah.
Man,
His
that's I
his
mean,
son, my son is a sophomore at Jackson State, and his name is actually Jake Ayers.
yeah, man. That's the whole case right there.
So where's Alvin Chambliss was the lawyer, right?
Albert
Yeah,
Chan,
Alvin
and
Chambliss.
what killed the Ayers case, and that's why I didn't want to get into the weeds. And I'm gonna walk up to the line, Mr. Ford, but I'm not gonna get into the weeds because that's just going. I'm not. Jake Alvin Chambers won at the Supreme Court level twice, and then
Right.
unfortunately he was removed from the case after winning at the Supreme Court level twice.
Okay.
And when he got removed from the case is when we ended up getting that fraudulent settlement. That settlement we got for Ayers is terrible. Now, what I will tell you is that the Black Mississippi is split on that. I was part of because I actually testified in the Ayers case in the federal court in Oxford, Mississippi. So I was part of the group that wanted to opt out of the settlement because when Attorney Chambers was removed and we saw that they were going to say we didn't want it to be settled in the state, we wanted to go back to the Supreme Court. And when we saw that it wasn't going to go return to the Supreme Court, a group of us tried to opt out. But of course, there were some other Black heavy hitters on the other side, and they were able to get that settlement and get pennies for what we should have gotten out of the case. We hear Alvin Chambers won at the Supreme Court level twice. And I tell people, I don't know any football coach that won the Super Bowl 2 years in a row and get fired the third year.
That
So
means he was doing something right.
and what he was doing right was when the case got reprimanded to the state, remanded to the state, he refused to talk to the governor and the state officials because he knew he was going to win in the Supreme Court. His point was like the Supreme Court said, we have won. So why do I want to have a conversation with these racists? And at that time, I will say this, there were actually white Democrats who were in power who helped to deconstruct and kill the Ayers case.
Because Democrats and Republicans are at the core going to do what? Uphold the racism and structural hierarchical society implementation in the nation.
Right.
They're going to always uphold it. They might say one thing and do another, but they're two snake heads from the same body.
That's what Du Bois says. It was one party with two names.
Exactly. And so so Brother McCall, like I said, so I just want to give props to you and your father and like I said, we should have gotten much more. And like I said, I don't want to get into the weeds on it because I can tell y'all it got pretty bad and pretty ugly in the state. The division around folks who wanted to accept the settlement and wanted to keep fighting to the Supreme Court.
Because
And
they just wanted the money. I promise you, if we would have taken it to the Supreme Court and they would have had to do it by the numbers, if we settled for 500 million, we probably would have got 1.5 billion.
Right.
Yeah. You know, me and one of
we
my
still
brothers
would
was
have
talking.
been
We were actually
owed.
talking. I'm sorry. I apologize. Go ahead. I thought you had stopped my
No,
thing.
I
to
mean,
move.
at
I apologize.
1.5 billion is probably what we would have gotten because it's got to be at least 3 times what they settle for. So that means to this day, they'd still be making sure to get us. And you know how far along all 3 of these universities, look at how far we've become, but how much further we would be if we had an extra billion owed to us that was being disseminated, even though they're not giving it to us all at once, we'd still have $1 billion owed to us.
And in the
You're
chat,
absolutely correct. You know, it was some stuff me and one of my brothers were talking about. It is some stuff that they accepted in that case for that settlement that we know that if our dad, that if my dad was still living, he wouldn't have never gone for. We know that for a fact. So what you're saying, that is something that the family, that is something me and some of my brothers, that is something we already discussed, McInnis. So you're absolutely correct.
exactly.
But I'm gonna get off of here. Look, man, I put my email in the chat. McInnis, man, hit me up. Any of y'all can hit me up, man. But if you ever get a chance, I would like to come on there and talk about. I got a channel too, but I don't try to plug my channel on other people's station. But I was just saying, if you hit me,
Go
come
ahead
on
and
and just
shout
talk about that.
yourself out.
Oh, you can do it on here. We don't mind over here.
Yeah. Tell the people your channel, man.
Yeah, I know, but
Yeah,
I appreciate you. I just my channel is my
understand where you're
name, Brother
coming
Bakari.
from. Okay.
Yeah, that's my name.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's it. But you know, I've like of course I'm subscribed here. I'm subscribed to SheLovesThee. So you know what, y'all keep up the good work, what y'all doing. I appreciate it. I listen when y'all talking about football. And I'm gonna tell y'all this, man. I got 2 cousins on that JSU team this year too. Them short brothers.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We happy to have them.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, them my them my cousins. Those are my cousins, man. But all right,
Oh
look, I'm
man.
gonna just listen offline now. It's getting late for me. When you get my age, I guess
Yeah,
you past my bedtime. But
yeah,
thank
I'm
you for
about to
letting me
call
speak
it a
with
night
you again,
too.
Doc.
Yeah.
Oh,
She loves
thank
D.
you, man.
Nice meeting you, Mr. Ford, the guy that got off
Yeah.
Randy. Nice meeting you. Is that Lee McInnis? And
Yes,
like I
sir.
said, my email is in the private chat. If anybody wants to hit me up, that's my email. And thank the chat for listening. I hope y'all enjoyed your peace and one love, man. Thank you.
Thank
Doc
you,
Holliday,
man.
Sister Mona, Mr. Ford, yeah, I was just coming to hang out in the chat, and like I said, I usually creep in the chat and just listen to y'all. I appreciate everything
Thank
that
you for
all
coming
y'all do
on.
to
Thank you.
illuminate HBCUs in Jackson State. So I'm gonna jump off and let y'all get the last words to y'all folk. But look, just whatever y'all do, the 3 of y'all, you know, y'all are needed, and we need everybody, and everybody has a space. And
Right.
so everyone has their own unique talents, and I appreciate the 3 of you using your talents to uplift our people rather than to tear our people down. Y'all have a good night, and I'll see y'all later.
All right. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
have a
you,
good one.
Dr. McInnis. Thank you so much.
Man, we had a history lesson tonight. We had class tonight. I was trying to take notes up in here tonight. Oh, boy, I thought I was back in the history class for real. I was like,
Right.
oh, hold on now. Hold on
Right.
now. I didn't know we were taking notes today. Ooh,
It was
where my
beautiful. It
notebook
was
at?
wonderful. It was wonderful. It was deep. We dug deep tonight.
It was much needed, y'all. It was much needed. As as much as we talk noise on it on the channel, on mine's or yours, or just with both of us combined, like this is something that we actually needed tonight. Like we needed to hear that type of history, that the type of rhetoric that's being used by the um elite supremacists. That's what I call them, because I'm gonna call them that. You know what I'm saying? Um, but I hope we can have this whole discussion again. We can have another discussion like this again for next week, man. That was that had me going.
I'm gonna have to break
Like,
that one down. There's so
yeah,
much
you.
good stuff in there. You got to break it down. Break it down.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna do timestamps on it. I'm gonna do like it'll probably take a minute, but I'm gonna do timestamps on it. I'm off tomorrow. I'm off tomorrow, and then I'll probably do some on Monday. But Mr. Ford, you got
Hey,
anything before you roll up out of here?
yeah, I'm getting ready to get on in this bed, man. I done watched so many games today. I tell you, you know what? I wish we could start a book list that we can give people a book to read every time we talk, because there's so much knowledge out here. Like they say, ain't nothing new under the sun.
I done put all whatever book you say we need to read. I
Yeah.
done typed it in Amazon and put it in my cart just so I can go ahead and order it.
Oh yeah. Well, that's what we'll do. We'll try to give a book, because there's a lot of information. We don't have to recreate the wheel.
That's correct.
It's just a matter of reading the classics. The answers are there.
Oh yeah. Well, I thank you, man. I thank you for
Yeah.
coming
And
on as
listen,
always.
y'all have a good night. Now, when you coming on again?
Probably it will probably be either Monday or Tuesday. So
Okay.
I gotta do
Okay,
somebody
Mr.
schedule.
Mona, have a good night. And
Thank you
listen,
for coming on, Mr. Ford.
yeah, listen, these FAMU people, they say it's their year now.
See, Mr.
I
Ford, why
was
you
with
had to
some
get
of them
me
yesterday,
started?
baby.
Now, why you
They
had to get me started
I
about
know it. They
FAMU?
hyped, man. I was with the FAMU crew yesterday. Now, one thing I can say, and it continues to linger, they are hot about that darn home schedule. Listen. It was unanimous. I asked her, how you feel about that home schedule? All of them mad about that home schedule. I don't know what the athletic administration was thinking down there, putting them two Division II schools on that schedule. And then what they really mad about is that they have nothing in common with those schools. That's the
Right,
thing
so
I
they're
got
not
from
gonna
them
bring a
yesterday.
they're not gonna bring a crowd because
Yeah, that's what they said. They're not going to bring a crowd, not going to bring a band. Why are we doing that? Why was that done? But
and I would just Valley is when I say they're on a terror, they just got a 3-star quarterback.
I saw it. I saw that too.
So
But
if
listen,
FAMU
let me
beat
tell you, you know
they
whose
gonna
schedule is home schedule is probably worse than FAMU's? Tennessee State. The only good game they really got on there that would attract somebody would probably be the Norfolk State game. Their home schedule is terrible.
I gotta check
eh,
out. I gotta check
Yeah,
it out.
check out Tennessee State's home schedule. It's awful.
Mm.
they got to do better. And all
Yeah,
they have to do is schedule some black just come on back to just come to the SWAC or go to
that's
the
all they got
SWAC.
to do is come to the
Go to the
SWAC.
SWAC. Come on to
Listen,
the
y'all
SWAC.
have a good night.
All right,
Good
thank you. You
night.
have a good one.
Okay, bye-bye.
And,
Wipe your feet before you leave. Just hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe to our channel.
oh yeah,
Doc, this was a good show, man.
it was. It was. We started off with some technical difficulties with Jason, but hey, we got it going. We got it happening. We
He
will.
had an awesome interview.
Oh yeah. Uh,
Awesome.
uh, dad in there being, his dad is hype man. So, hey, I would want somebody on my
3
team just like
touchdowns,
that.
4,000 yards. I'm excited. That was a really great interview. And then we got Dr. McInnis on here, of course, imparting those historical references and great background. It's always good to hear from an intellect like Dr. McInnis.
Mm-hmm.
Cause now I,
Yeah.
I I feel like all my ranting and raving, it's not done in vain because he's gonna put in the intellectual and the historical information behind it. So now I don't sound as crazy
Oh
as
no,
I
no,
would if it's just
you don't
me.
sound as crazy, but no, no, no. But it see now when you're saying something and you done did your research because you do your research every time, all the time, and people still don't believe it, and you just got to go ahead and get that backup coming. You know what I'm saying? Your backup come up in here, telling them to handle your lightweight. That's what just happened today.
Boom.
That's what just happened today. Handle my lightweight. And so, yeah, it was a great show. We always gonna talk about SWAC basketball. SWAC baseball, HBCU baseball done started up now. Um, you got track and field going on. We got the XFL started today. You had some HBCU players that actually played in the games today. So shout out to them. Special shout out to CJ Holmes for being the starting cornerback for the Orlando Guardians. Um, I hope he has a great season. And and to all the HBCU players, uh, this week that's coming up this week, they have the combine, and then they lead out. Everything leads into the HBCU Legacy Bowl down in New Orleans. Um, so check that out. I got to see what channel that's going. I got to see what network that's going to be on. Also, shout out to Austin, y'all, for becoming the uh, head of video personnel for the football team at Jackson State. Shout out to him. My boy got called up by God and said and God gave him and he ain't called collect. he ain't
Wait,
called collect.
what? Who? God called him and he decided to accept the charges?
Oh, called Austin and he set their charges and
He said
he
he
the
got
head
the
of.
heat dropping. When is
Oh
the
yeah,
heat?
you already know.
When is the fire
ASVP
dropping?
visuals. Y'all need to check that out. He gonna have some heat dropping, so he gonna be with the
I think
football
he
team.
said tomorrow. The heat drops tomorrow. So if you're not ASVP Visuals, if you're not already subscribed, go to his channel,
Mm-hmm.
ASVP Visuals. Make sure you're following him because he is going to drop some heat. And he said that it starts tomorrow. And he also said that that we don't understand what is about to happen with JSU football media.
Whew. I just want to see it.
It's about to be
Yeah.
a movie. We need a documentary. A
Ooh.
who is SWAC documentary. We need it ASAP.
Mm. Let me round up. So always we doing, you know, if you want to donate to the channel, you can always become an exclusive member to the channel. Just hit the join button, become an exclusive member to the channel. I'm gonna start doing some more tiers to this for the channel. And but like I said, this doesn't just go in my pocket. This goes straight to go back to the channel to where we can improve things, get newer things like uh, video, um, sound, audio, everything. It goes back into the channel. So it just doesn't go to me. It doesn't go in my pocket. And when Simona, I know you done probably did your monetization already.
No, I haven't done it yet.
Get that done so you get your monies.
Okay.
Oh, the Red Tails Classic. I'm gonna do the Red Tails Classic on the schedule. I got you, Reggie. Yeah, but make sure y'all subscribe. Make sure you become an exclusive member of the channel. Whenever Tamana she get her membership going on, y'all make sure y'all become an exclusive member to her channel also, so you could just bless all of us. Cash App handle is I got you. That is the Cash App handle coming up right there. Oh, hold on.
You forgot the dollar sign. You got to
Yeah,
put
that's
the
what
dollar
my
sign
bad.
on there.
That's the Cash App handle right there. And you can support both channels because we do this. Me and Timona, y'all, we do this every Saturday night. I don't think we haven't missed a Saturday night in what, a month and a half, 2 months.
Yep. Yep.
So so y'all make sure y'all support both our channels. Also
Thank
go
you.
support other other people's channels like Ken Clark 1400 Club, Blitz City Podcast, Blue Bloods,
SWAC
uh
Buzz,
Swag Buzz,
Raw Truth
Swagging
Media.
Food, Raw Truth Media, Tomorrow Leader Sports Network with Coach Walker. Who else am I forgetting, man? Um, and if hey, you want to do shock value, I give it out there because everybody
No,
eat
you
out
don't
here.
need to give it out. No, you don't need to. You don't need to give it out.
The one
No.
person that don't need we don't mention the name all the time. So
Oh my goodness.
oh okay, Urban, my bad. My bad. We look, we'll be back on Monday because we have Monday night. Yeah, we have Monday night review, don't
Is that President's Day?
we?
Eh,
That's President's Day.
yeah. It's gonna be funny not to have football on Sunday, huh? Like NFL football, like it's over.
I don't know. You still got
Did you go see Ant-Man?
I haven't seen it yet.
Man, you gotta go see Kang.
I
Kang the
I
Conqueror.
I gotta see it. Yeah, we got the XFL. We got the
Now
XFL right
now we know why. Like, you know what? Kang the Conqueror, even though he's like the arch nemesis, he's
now.
seen some things. He has some trauma, and there's a reason why he is the way he is.
Oh, see, you know what? Now I gotta go watch. I gotta go see it for myself now. I'm really not a big Ant Man fan, but I am more of like the Avengers when all of them was together. But because I used to read comic books a lot when I was little.
It's
Uh,
not really an Ant-Man movie though. It's more like the to us it's just the introduction for it's like the villain series. Like this is the origin story of Kang the Conqueror.
hmm, well, since you said it's good, I'm gonna need to go watch it. I need to see it. Uh, all the kids like Marvel. Even my baby girl, she like Marvel. So but Urban Bold, yeah, we don't 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 charge it to our don't charge it to our head, just charge it to our hearts. You know, we gotta we don't want not too many people come on here and they want to talk negative about our institutions. But next time we do show Monday Night Review, we can go ahead and get you on there. We'll go ahead and get you on there. Uh, but tomorrow, tomorrow really ain't doing nothing except for moving around the bedroom. That's it. Moving the bed around and probably get my hair done. That's all I got tomorrow.
All right. Well, I will see y'all later. Peace and
Uh,
blessings. Thank you for stopping by our Saturday Night Live.
oh yeah. Now we need some going home music for the for the show. Yeah, we need. Hey, I likes free. I don't. I don't do anything wrong. Free is good for us. But yeah, thank y'all for joining in. Like I said, Cash App handle. If you want to cash out to donate for the channel, it is Cash App for the handle. That is the Cash App for the handle right there. Uh, if you want to become an exclusive member to the channel, just jump out of the chat and go to the page and hit join, and it'll tell you how to do everything. I will have more member tiers coming probably like next month or so. So we get to 25 uh, exclusive members. Then, like I said, I'm trying to do some merch stuff for you. Uh, but other than that, y'all, it was a fun show. It was a fun show. But as always, y'all, um, this has been another HBCU Overdrive Live show. Saturday Night Live with Doc and SheLovesThee. Make sure that you hit the like button. Make sure that you comment on the stream and share it with your people. And if you want to clip it, you can clip it and send it to other people to let them know, like, this is what we about. Also, most of all, subscribe to the channel. Hit that notification bell to get everything HBCU Overdrive or SheLovesThee. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe. All right. Make sure you get that YouTube algorithm jumping. We are on the road to 2,000, close to 1,500 people, 1.5K, but we are on the road to 2,000. So let's get to it, man. Let's get to it, y'all. But as always, y'all be blessed. Y'all stay safe. And most importantly, man, stay dangerous. Y'all stay dangerous out here. Peace.